Welcome to the How to Heart Show, helping men reconnect to the heart and empower others as the leaders they were born to be. I'm Vincent Haasboom. My mission is to help you speak your truth, own your authenticity, and step into your power. The world needs the raw and authentic man right now. Join us if you're ready to make a change. Hey, what's up, Lions, and welcome to the How to Heart Show. Like I always say, I bring amazing guests, but today I brought really a legend because the man that is now here today, we have such a beautiful connection, and the things that he taught me, and always when we've spoken before, I'm always just blown away how he talks, how he presents things, and also how he talks from the heart. So I want to give you guys, or I want to introduce you guys to Gordon D. Melville, and I want to give him like a proper, really good introduction because he totally deserves it. So here it goes. Gordon D. Melville. Gordon is the founder and CEO of Jewil International. He hosts his own podcast uh, of The Long Bearded Guy, and he's also known as a high-performance mindset mentor, best-selling author, a keynote speaker who teaches entrepreneurs to navigate mental awareness and health in a world of judgment and toxic masculinity. He worked with likes of Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, and with his extraordinary wisdom, he developed his own coaching specialization. And Gordon is truly amazing, not just his big beard, but also his big heart and just how he talks. And it's always really special for me to be on a call with Gordon. So I'm super honored to have Gordon Melville here on the show. So Gordon, thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for being here. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Vincent. You know what? It's been a long time coming, and it's always an honor to spend time with guys that are leading with the heart. Is something I talk about a lot. And so, you know what? It's an honor, privilege to be with you today. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. We, like you said, we postponed it for a long time, and also we had some difficulties also with the laptop and everything. But we said just go and let's just do it because it's so important for us to have this call. So, Gordon, again, thank you so much. So before we're gonna go into the questions and the interview, can you share with us in a nutshell who you are and how your journey unfolded as the man you are today?
Thank you for that. You know what? Who I am is I'm a very what you see is what you get type human. A lot of us wear masks, and I'm a big believer in removing the mask and just being 100%. Everybody wants to be unique. And I look at them and go, you know what? Just be you. That's unique. Nobody else can do that. And so for me, I've been married 33 years at the end of this month, next week, to the same wonderful woman. I've got 3 teenage sons. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, my goal is to love on people and everybody I meet. And that's not an I want you. That's agape. That's you're human, I'm human, right? And especially with guys, because as an entrepreneur myself, I think a lot of times we don't do the self-care that it takes. We don't look after ourselves, and society kind of looks at us and goes, we don't care how much pain you're in. We don't care how much hurt you have. We don't care what's going on in your life. We just need you to shut up and be what we need you to be. And so we are losing some really good guys because they don't know where to go. And so the whole thing about the vault, that's only 10, 11 weeks old. 2 of my one-to-one clients, one's a pro athlete and the other one's an entrepreneur. And they both used the same vernacular within 48 hours of each other. They told me just recently, I think of you as the vault. And I was like, that's very interesting that the same vernacular, the same words by 2 different people that don't know each other, have never met, in completely different worlds, and used exactly the same concept. And so, I'm being royalty, or at my core, right? I'm a child of a king. And so, that's, if I hold on to that as my being, and express love and show love, and channel that love, that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
It's really fascinating also that you work with really big giants. So how was it for you to go into that space?
You know what? It's humbling to go into that space. And when I first got into that space, it presented itself. It wasn't something I had gone after. And I was looking at these pro athletes. At one point, I had 34 pro athletes as one-to-one clients, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, soccer, and rugby globally. And I was like, why would they come to me? They're already more affluent than me. They're already more accomplished than me. Like, well, what could I possibly teach them? And what I found out very quickly was they're world class in that one area, right? So the athletes are world class in that area, but they sacrificed pretty much the whole rest of their life to be able to do that. And so the relationships are in the toilet. They're not plugged in spiritually. Their finances are all over. Like everything else is a challenge because they didn't pay any attention to it in drive of this one thing. I want to be a pro athlete. And so what I realized very quickly was most of them are just regular people, just like the rest of us. We put them on a pedestal because, we see them on TV, or we see them on, playing games, and they're making millions of dollars or whatever it is. They're just like us. They have the same foibles. They have imposter syndrome. They struggle with their identity. All the things that we struggle with, they struggle with. And so, I had to get past very quickly. Hey, you know what? They're regular humans just like us. That's the right. The long and the short of it is, yep, they're just like you and me. So yeah, once I took them off the pedestal and went, okay, you're human. It got easy because I'm like, okay, you know what? You're struggling with the same thing I struggle with, same thing that Vincent struggles with, same thing that all our buddies struggle with. We're all struggling with the same thing, or same types of things, right? So, yeah, once you realize they're human, just like the rest of us, it takes care of itself.
Yeah, I agree. And the question that came up to me was, how was it for you to discover your own journey that you had traumas or that you had limiting belief or the belief that you're not good enough or the belief that you're not capable of if you have those? Did you also experience that as well?
Absolutely, for sure. I think that's a human thing, right? And that's why I don't anchor my identity or my worth or my value in my opinion. Even a lot of people are looking outside of themselves externally for validation. And what they don't realize is most of the people they're looking to for that validation don't even care really if they show up, really, truly. And so, and the opinions are, if I do things a certain way, if I do things the way Vincent thinks I should do them, there's a whole whack of people I just pissed off because I'm not doing it the way they thought I should be doing it. And if I do it the way they think I should be doing it, then Vincent goes, well, wait a second, that's not right. And I'm like, you know what? No matter what I do, someone's not going to be happy. So I'm going to be me, and the people that are attracted to that are my people, and the people that aren't, no problem, right? I kind of joke that I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that, right? Now, I think I'm probably everybody's 10th tequila, but I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So, but the point is, I'm okay with that. And do I have moments where I go, I'm not enough? Yeah, that's why I don't anchor my own self worth in me. Even my own opinion doesn't matter because some days I wake up and I can jump a small building in a single bound, and 2 days later, I'm not enough and I lack, and I'm like, okay, wait a second, what happened to the guy that was here 2 days ago? So I think we all have that. The pro athletes all have that, where they have, I'm not good enough. We all struggle with that. It's what we do with that and how we reframe that for ourselves in the moment that I think defines whether we are successful or not successful, whether we can push forward or whether we step back, right? Whether we make choices. Everybody makes choices out of love or fear. That's the only two places we make choices from, decisions from. But if we make choices or decisions out of fear, typically it doesn't work very well because it's coming from a negative lack type space. if I can come from the love space, it's positive and it's abundance instead of lack. And our energy has way more influence on what we're thinking and what we're doing than we realize, right? I forget who it might have been Henry Ford that said, "Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right." Right? Whether we believe yes, I can get past that, or I believe no, I can't get past that, in spite of what the reality is, the reality doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like we look at it and go, "Well, I can't do that," even though the reality might be, "I can do that. I've done it before. No big deal." Right? So do I have that? Absolutely. That's a human thing. Anybody that tells you that they don't have that, you need to run hard from them, because they also have denial issues on top of any other problems they might have. Right? We all deal with it. We all do.
And the thing that really, not to me, thank you, Gordon, for explaining, but what really came to mind was the elite that you trained. What was it really that they go through? Because, like you said, on the TV, they look really extraordinary, but what are the things that they felt, oh, this is really keeping me back? This is really what's holding me back. Can you give some examples that they were facing?
Absolutely. Well, and limiting beliefs are different for everybody, because certain things that I go, "Hey, that's no big deal. It's easy." You might go, "That's really difficult." And things that are easy for you might be difficult for me. And so, limiting belief can be something like, "I'm not good enough. I can't play at this level. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough resource. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have enough skill. They look down at me." Our perception of what other people think of us, we look at a lot in terms of what their opinion is going to be. We make a lot of choices and decisions in our lives based on, we almost audibly think, consciously think, what are other people going to think of me if I make this choice? And it doesn't matter. Our lives aren't for anybody else. Your journey's for you. My journey's for me. And it doesn't need validation from anybody else. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need it. They don't even need to understand it. It's not for them. It's for you. Your journey's for you. My journey's for me. And so the limiting belief piece, if I can't identify, and that's, I think, where the again, a linchpin for that type of thing is that we don't sit down and actually define for ourselves. When was the last time you sat down and went, "Hey, I'm going to write a list of my limiting beliefs"? Most of us don't spend any time that way. That requires courage to be able to do the introspection it requires. And 97% plus of the population don't do it. Less than 3% of the population does any kind of personal development. Most of us can't spend a lot of time by ourselves alone. We don't like to spend time that way. We want to have, whether it's, and whether that means social media, it doesn't necessarily mean face-to-face human interaction, right? But if social media, that's still social. It's still human interaction. So I can feel like it's pseudo, it's not real, but it can make me feel like I've got connection to other people, right? Social media has made us, has given us a space where we think we have connection, right? I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook. Friends on Facebook, right? And we go, "Oh, look, that's an ego metric. It's a vanity metric, because it's not real." How many of those 5,000 people, if I called them at 2:30 in the morning and said, "Hey, I'm in trouble, I need help," how many of them would even pick up the phone, let alone show up? Right? Of the 5,000, maybe a handful. Probably not even a dozen. Maybe not even half a dozen. But those are the real people. Those, and most of those people are probably people I know in real life. They're not just people I know on social media. Social media is weird because it brings us together globally, right? I can talk to, well, you're where? Geographically, where are you?
Is that a question or?
Yeah, that's a question. Yeah,
Oh, can you repeat that? I was so focused on your story.
sorry. Where are you geographically at the moment?
I'm in the Netherlands.
Netherlands, and I'm in Canada. And the connection, boom, right? If social brings us globally closer together. My podcast, I've got 3 of them today. One of them is with South Africa, so it's lit. The other one's in the U.S., so it's all over the place. But in a sense of closeness, so globally we're closer, but locally we're farther apart. You ever go to your seat in a restaurant and see a table of people that are everybody's on the phone. They're sitting together, but everybody's on the phone, which means they're not sitting together, right? And it's just such a weird. It makes me laugh because I have 3 younger sisters, and when we were growing up, I would do the big brother thing, and I would break into their diary and read their private stuff, and they would get angry that I had broken the lock and was reading their private stuff, right? Now we're 40 years later. Now we have a society where when they post their private stuff, if somebody doesn't comment or like it, they get upset that nobody's reading it, right? Like we've completely flipped ourselves over. And so if we're looking for validation outside of ourselves, that's a limiting belief. That's saying, hey, everybody else is going to tell me what my worth and value is. And that's crap. It really is. We're giving. We're not even battling it. We're handing them our power. We're handing them our worth and our value. Why? Well, because we believe those people, their opinion is worth more than ours. Their opinion is worth more than our creator's. Because he says we have infinite value for no other reason than we are. For no other reason than we are. It doesn't matter what we think, what we've done, what we think we've done, how badly we've screwed up our life, or somebody, none of that matters. We have infinite worth and value for no other reason than we are. But we don't believe that. I had a guy tell me, well, if he knew what I was thinking and what I'd done, he wouldn't like me so much or couldn't love me. And I'm like, are you serious? Before he made the world, he knew how many hairs you would have on your body today. Do you know how many hairs you have on your body today? And he's like, well, no. I'm like, well, he knows more about us than we do. And he still loves us and likes us a lot. And I think that's where if I can hold on to that, it makes a complete difference in the way I show up. The limiting belief, is it still there? Yep, I still have limiting beliefs, but I have less and less and less and less and less as my journey goes on, because I realize, wait a second, I'm enough just the way I am. You're enough just the way you are. I've asked people recently, because it comes up a lot, are you a human having a spiritual experience, or are you a spirit having a human experience? How would you answer that?
For me, it's spiritual because I'm a spiritual being in a body. It's a vessel. So
That's exactly
I experience through the soul.
right. That's exactly right. We're spirits having a human experience. The challenge with that is if our human stuff says, I need to be able to touch it, feel it, smell it, right? All our senses. And so I can see that, I can smell it, I can taste it, I can drink it. This is real, right? This is real because I can see it and my senses can pick it up. Spiritual's not real. Spiritual is not real because I can't see it. Spiritual is not real because I can't touch it or taste it or feel it. But the reality is, this is the matrix. This is not real. The spiritual is the real. This is not real. But we let this block our spiritual view. We let or what we can see and feel and taste and touch, what we think as real, impact our negatively impact our spiritual, which is the real. Right? We will judge ourselves based on human metrics. Well, they lied, or they screwed up, or they, oh, I messed that up, or I didn't make that shot, or I missed that pass, or whatever it is. We judge ourselves based on human metrics, which are not real. Using that, and you're completely correct. It's spirit having a human experience. But as we come into this life, as we're conceived, the second we're conceived, all of a sudden now we have a gender and a nationality and a personality, and all those things start to grow, right, into the physical version of us. When we leave this body, or when we leave the planet, when we die, we drop our meat suit, right? We leave all of that stuff here, and then we go back to being spirit again. The weird part is all the stuff in our dash between the date of birth and death, all the stuff in our dash are things that we will judge each other on. Well, I can't love you because you're man, or you're woman, or you're LGBTQ, or your nationality, or whatever it is. We judge with that instead of leading with love. And so, the limiting belief can be as widespread as you can possibly think, because there's so many different ones for so many different people. Are there common ones? For sure. But at the end of the day, finding out what they are and then eliminating them makes us happier human beings. Understanding we don't have any limits. The only limits we have are self-imposed. The only limits we have, my biggest of my 5 sentences of empowerment, the very first one is, I am the only problem I will ever have, and I am the solution. Right? As an empowerment thing, yep, I'm the only problem I'm going to have. All this other stuff is not problem. I'm the problem. And that's a extreme ownership idea. But the concept is, people go, no, it was my ex, or it was my boss, or it was my parents, or no. Wait. Are you over 18? Yep. You're over 21? Yep. You're an adult. So you need to grow up. You can't, if we're going to keep blaming everybody else without taking ownership, it was an ex-wife or an ex-husband. Did you choose to be in that relationship? Well, yeah. Well, then you're partly responsible. You chose to be in that space. It was an employer. Great. Did you choose to work there? Yep. It's on you. You could have changed it. No, I couldn't change it. I have buddies telling me, Gord, I couldn't change my job. I've got responsibilities. I've got bills. I'm like, great. I didn't say quit before you had another job. That's irresponsible. You have bills, right? But go find something that's more you. Go find something that's better for you. And if you can't find it, create it for yourself. Don't allow the world or anything else to take your power from you. It's yours. Don't you limit you. If you have a plan to get it done, nobody has a plan to stop you. And we let stuff stop us all the time. And it's stupid, right? We're in this real, I exercise every day. I'm going to go for 2 walks every day. And then it's raining and we go, I don't want to go. It's raining. Are you serious? Your health and you mean so little to yourself. A little bit of water is going to stop you from having what you want. But a lot of times that's a limiting belief, right? Anyway.
But it's also comfort zone, right? Sorry to interrupt you, Gordon, but it's also comfort zone, right? That people want to stay comfortable and don't want to take the risk, or they don't want to feel uncomfortable. So why is people so now getting so comfortable with society and they don't want to take risk, or they want to, like you said, a new job or start a business? And why are people not going to the self-development? Is it really that they don't want to, or is it really they're lazy, or they become lazy? What is it?
It goes deeper.
Okay.
If I ask you who you be, and I know that grammar sounds baffed, I know, but I'm trying to do a little bit of a pattern interrupt, right? What I'm asking is, who are you being? But when I ask it that way, most people it doesn't land the same way. So when I ask who you be, they start to go, okay, what did he just ask me? Right? But when if you're, who are you really truly? Who are you being right now?
That's a difficult question.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, but for most people, you're exactly right. When I ask them, they have no idea. And if they do try to answer, they tell me what they do. Right? Oh, I'm a doctor, a coach, or a player. No, 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 no. That's what you do. That's not who you are. Separate your identity from what you do, because they're not connected. We conflate them all the time, but they're not connected. So, but that the short answer to your question is they don't have no idea who they're being. That's why they don't. There's no anchor, so they just keep flying along, flopping along. It's whatever pushes. They don't. So I talk a lot about people don't understand who they're being in at the heart of core of themselves. Who are they really being? And then they don't understand their intrinsic worth and value. They have no concept of that. So then the mindset that's created of that is skewed because it's trying to overcome a perceived deficiency that's not there. And so we have mask, right? We also don't have any flow because we don't have any alignment. And then what I conflate what I do with who I'm being. So my mission is to have people understand, who are you being? Who are you really truly at your core? Who are you being? And then be able to hang on to that, right? I have to be able to believe that and hang on to it. And then what's your intrinsic worth and value? Really, truly. And then hang on to that. Because if I can do that, the mindset that's created out of that is exactly what it's supposed to be. And I have alignment now. So I have flow. And then what I do becomes an extension of who I be. And because people don't understand the first two pieces of that, they don't understand who they're being. To answer your question, it's identity. It goes way deeper than it's not lazy. They're not lazy. Lots of people you and I know work their butts off, hardworking, and still struggle. Right? We're thinking about it with my pro athletes, and the two types of people, my avatars are pro athletes and elite entrepreneurial men, typically. So the athletes are all young guys because athletics is a young guy's sport, right? It is a young guy's thing. But it's interesting because a lot of athletes are going, what's my legacy going to be? What's my legacy when I'm done playing? What's my legacy? What am I going to be remembered for? The weird part is my other avatar are people my age, right? They hit 50-ish, 45, 50, 55, and they've got all the stuff. People told them, hey, if you get a good education and you do the right thing and you have a good job and you have your wife and your 1.2 or 2.2 kids or white picket fence, and you've got all the things that most people would look at and go, they're successful. They've been married, they've got a house, they've got a boat, they got cottage, they've got all the toys. They look successful. And you start to talk to them and you realize very quickly they don't feel fulfilled somehow. They told me if I had all this stuff, I'd be happy, and I'm not happy. And because they get to my age, they're starting to think of their legacy, right? I'm more than halfway through my life. What do I have to show for it, really? And what I keep telling people, legacy is not an end of life thing. Legacy is what we've poured into people throughout our life. Well, that means we're doing it every day without realizing we're doing it. No awareness that we're pouring our legacy. It's not an end of life thing. You ever been to a funeral where they went, hey, Gord, have you seen his house? Amazing. The boat, I was on his boat lots. It's amazing. We had some good fishing trips on his boat. I never hear that, right? What do we hear? He spent time with me. We hear how that person poured into them. Memories of whatever it is, fishing trips they took. It wasn't about the boat. It was about the time together, right? That's the legacy we're leaving behind. A smile in the grocery store, in the bank. That's legacy we're leaving in that other person without ever realizing it. Or frown. or they cut you off, their cart at the grocery store cut you off, or their car cut you off on a roundabout or whatever. And we get all animated and we give them the bird, and we're all right. That's that legacy we're leaving in that person without ever realizing we're doing it. No awareness, none. And so, if we think about it, it's a weird thing because time is the most precious resource any of us have, right? And for some it's more, some it's less, we don't know. The point is, it's an interesting dichotomy because we spend out of that account without ever knowing what the balance is. Maybe we only have 3 more sunsets to see. Maybe we've got 40 more sunsets. We have no idea. But we live like we've got infinite number of things left to go. And that's not the case. Right? And it's not a guilt thing that we go, oh, I got to make sure I'm doing. No. It's understanding and being aware that the littlest thing, a smile, at the right time with the right person, we have no idea what other people are dealing with. And I think you and I had talked before. I relayed a story about that was a true story from Reader's Digest, where a young guy walked 10 blocks to work every day, 10 blocks home, but no friends, no family. He was a loner, and he did that. He's like, my quality of life is in the toilet. Like, there really is no quality of life. I literally walk to work. I work all day. I walk home. I have some dinner. I have a shower, watch some TV, and go to bed. And then I get up the next day and do the same thing. And one day he said to himself, you know what? This is stupid. I could disappear. Nobody would ever know. So I'm going to walk the 10 blocks to work today and the 10 blocks home. And if nobody smiles at me, I'm going to end myself when I come home. And as a suicide survivor, and I think you and I have talked about that before, semicolon, that resonated with me when I read the story the first time. I'm like, that hits hard home. And so he walked to work. Nobody smiled at him. On the way home, one gentleman smiled at him. And one smile in the grand scope of everything may or not be anything. But on that day, to that guy, it saved his life. And the weird part is, the gentleman that smiled at him could have gone home and gone, I'm not making any kind of an impact. He saved a life that day. He'll never know. And we talk about dropping pebbles in people's lives and watching the ripples. That smile did not create a ripple. It created a tsunami. It flipped his life over. Like, there shouldn't have been. If he'd have not have smiled at him, he'd have gone home and ended himself. There would be no more. We wouldn't know the story because it would never have ended up in Reader's Digest. But I think of all the people he's inspired, that smile inspired. Not only did it save the life, but how many people did it inspire? I've told that story thousands of times. All the people how many people that would never have happened without that smile. We can make that kind of a change in each other's lives, literally in the blink of an eye. No relationship, no money, no time, like literally in the blink of an eye, he flipped that guy's life over. And we don't have an awareness of that. We think we can't do that. Oh, you know what? It is what it is. That's not what's in my cards, or that's not what's in my stars, or that it is what it is. I just have to deal with it. And that's not true. We have the power. We're the only living thing gifted the ability to change. Right? If I plant an acorn, I'm going to get an oak tree. If I buy a Labradoodle puppy, it's going to grow into a full-grown Labradoodle. It can't all of a sudden go, hey, you know what? It sees a German Shepherd at a dog park and goes, oh, look at him. He's majestic. I'm going to be a German Shepherd when I grow up. They can't do that. They haven't been given that ability. Humans were gifted that ability, and we abdicate that power. I can't do it. It is what it is. That's crap. We can absolutely choose to make our lives what we want them to be.
Gordon, I can listen to you for hours. It's so inspiring, the things that you say in the stories. That's why I was always so attracted to you once I started talking to you. It's always so inspiring, and you have so much knowledge. And I'm really, really grateful that you shared it with us today. But there came also questions about that I wanted to ask, because if you are okay with it, can you also
Yeah.
share more also about the suicide that you tried to do, or is it too much for you?
No, no, absolutely. You know what? There's two timelines for me. One is personal development. The other one is 30 years of Energizer Bunny without doing any self care. Teaching it, but not doing it, which I think is a common theme for a lot of people, especially guys, right? Unless I cough up a lung, I'm not going to a doctor. So, but late 20, that would have been late 2015, my body said, "Hey, you're not paying attention." It was screaming at me, "Pay attention." And I wasn't. Everybody came before me. And so my body said, "I'm out." And I was bedridden for 2 years. Um, our ensuite was 20 feet from the bed, and I would fall down two or three times trying to get to the bathroom. Like it got to a point where I wouldn't even stand up. I would just, if I had to go to the bathroom, I would slide out of the bed onto the floor and then just crawl to the bathroom because I knew I didn't want to fall down. But when you take an Energizer bunny that's used to go, 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 go all the time and holds themselves in that performance space, and you stop them from being able to do that, it gets dark in a hurry. And so that suicide attempt in the middle of that was a way of me. And I look back at it that Papa was gifted, and I call God Papa because of my relationship with him. But he gifted me that experience. I've had really high EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence has been really high for most of my life. But I didn't understand deep depression and suicide. I didn't understand, oh, it's selfish or it's the easy way out, or there were a lot of things I would think until I went through it. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. No, no, that's not the case. Now, it does change and it shifts my sadness, or that's would have happened if I had succeeded. It would have shifted my sad onto everybody else in my life. Right. But in the moment, that's understanding that, and Papa saved me that day, literally saved me that day. I remember laying on the bathroom floor in process, and I knew it was working, and I was crying, and I knew that was working. And I heard a voice as audibly as you talking to me say to me, "What are you doing? Like, this is not the legacy you want to leave for your kids. You're going to have one of your sons come home, he's 8. This is what you want him to find? Really? That's not the legacy you want to leave. That's not the legacy I want you to leave." And through my tears, I could see out into the hallway a picture of our family on the wall. And Papa said to me, Gord, there's 5 reasons you don't want to do what you're doing. And it took me better part of 2 years. It did save me. I stopped the process and slept for 3 days for stuff to get out of my system. Anyway, the point is, it was more than a year before I admitted even to myself it had happened. I didn't tell anybody. And then once I started to tell people, a friend of mine asked me to write an article in her online magazine. And so I said, what's the topic? She always had a topic monthly, and it was mental health. And I'm like, I think I can figure that out. So I wrote, but that's the story that came out. Well, it scared me because I hadn't admitted it to myself even. And so it did get published in that online magazine. It did get published in several books. But eventually I was asked to share that live in public. And when I did that, normally I'm the type of human that it's how long do we need to talk? How long are we going to talk? What's the topic? What are we going to talk about? And away I go. But with that, I wanted to do some prep because there were some things I wanted to make sure I touched on. And I tell you that because while I was in that prepping mindset, I walked into our bedroom, and the bathroom would have been on the right if you're walking in from outside the room. But across the hall from that was a his closet. And I say that because I had too many clothes. My wife didn't have any clothes. So both those closets were full of my clothes. But the point is, those closets are about that far apart. What am I telling you? There's never been a picture on that wall of anything because there isn't room for it. So what was I seeing? Right? It gave me some awarenesses, right? Those rememberings gave me some awarenesses. And what I remembered was that Papa saying to me, it was almost 2 years I hadn't remembered. Papa said to me on that day on the bathroom floor, I have a mission for you to do. And I could get someone else to do it, but I want you to do this. So please don't do what you're doing. And the awarenesses that came from that, one is I have no ambiguity about what I'm supposed to be doing. My mission is absolutely clear. I know exactly what's going on, which is great. The other side of that, which I think is even more impactful and to the conversation, is that's our creator, 8 billion plus people on the planet, and he was in my bathroom when I needed him to be there. If that doesn't tell me what my worth and value is, nothing ever will. And he would do that for any of us, right? He'll do that for any of us. It's about the choices we make, right? I have a good buddy I grew up with. A couple of years ago, he reached out and said, he was having some real struggles in his life. And I said, how can I help? How can I support you? And he said, can you just send me a text every day and let me know that I'm not a complete and utter piece of shit? Because that's how he felt. And so I did. But every day I did that. Every 3 weeks or so, we would have a live conversation. That went on for about 15 months, 18 months. And then my sister reached out and said, hey, did you see this obit? And he gave his soul back to Papa on the afternoon of a day that he and I had a live conversation where there was no indication whatsoever that's where his brain was. And through a whack of tears and 3 days of anguish and grief, I said to my wife, did I fail my friend? And she said, no, at the end of the day, that's a choice he's making. It's a choice we're all making. It's a choice I made, both to try and to stop were both choices I made. Anybody that I found that's not succeeded, I think if we could interview people that succeeded, probably 90% plus, maybe even 95% plus, would have changed their mind if they'd had an opportunity to. But because of the method they chose, it wasn't available to them. Right? And so that means that they didn't want to do that way. They just didn't see any other way out. And for guys, you and I both work with men primarily. You know what? We need them to know there's a place they can go. There's safe harbor where they no judgment, safe, that they're cared about and loved, and not in a weird way, in an agape way, in a you're a human, I'm a human, I'm your brother. We're related because we're both royalty. We're both his kids. You're my brother. So reach out, right? When I do my flagship programs, one of the very first things I say to them, this is amnesty for you. You've been gifted amnesty. What do I mean? It's wide open. Drop whatever you need to. No judgment. Safe. Right? When the authorities say, hey, bring in whatever guns you got, we won't ask any questions. Registered, unregistered, whatever. It doesn't matter how you got them. We don't care. Just drop them off. That's amnesty. No judgment whatsoever. Right? So when I'm talking to people and talking to guys, that's the goal. Give them amnesty. I'm giving you the opportunity to drop whatever baggage you want, whatever you've got hidden, and again, in your vault, that you've buried deep inside yourself. Let it out, because it's killing you. Those pieces, the trauma and the judgment we have on ourselves because of things we've done. Last week, I'm talking to a guy, not even half an hour. It was like 20 minutes, 23 minutes. And he says, I feel an urge to tell you something. I don't know the guy from Adam, right? He goes, I've been married more than 3 decades. But in the first couple of years of being married, I stepped out on my wife. Just once, it was a mistake. I was drunk, but he said, you know what? I haven't told anybody. You're the first human in 3 decades plus that even knows outside of her. And I thought that was interesting because it means he felt safe and not judged and cared about enough within 20 minutes to open up. And so creating that culture is, for me, it's all about that. It's about creating that culture. I was gifted that experience on the bathroom floor that day to be able to help other people get through what I went through. I think life is not happening. We all teach that or talk about it. Life's not happening to us. It's happening for us. But I believe it's happening for us to specifically and uniquely equip us to help other people get through what we went through. It's kind of a final stage of healing for ourselves, helping somebody else get through what we went through. Right? So it's a gift. And people are like, oh, it was really dark. I'm like, no, I didn't say I want to do it again. Right? But it was a gift because it gave me perspective I needed to get my mission done. Right? And so I get lots of people reach out to me. Last week, two different guys, but 4 different men that gave their souls back to Papa last week that I know about. Right? And these guys are reaching out to me. Hey, can you help me process this? Because the one guy is my best friend. I don't know what to do with that. And so, Papa gifted me that experience, and I have no problem sharing it. Right? The word stigma. We got to stop the stigma around suicide. No, it's not stigma. Stop using that word. That's a sanitized, civilized word we use so we don't have to admit what we're really doing. And what we're really doing is just being judgmental pricks. That's what we're doing. Right? We're saying I'm better than them because I didn't deal with that. Now, I've got a whole whack of my own shit here to deal with, but I don't deal with that, so it's okay. I'm better than them. Bullshit. No, you're not. Nobody is. But we use it. If we pull the word stigma out and put the word judgment in anywhere we find it, way more accurate, way more honest. But we don't do it that way. And so I share it all over the place. And I appreciate you asking because, it's not too hard. And I think the more I share it, the less power it has. It's part of my history. It's part of my experience. It's part of my preparation. It's part of my crucible I've walked through to get to where I am today, to create who I am right now. But it doesn't have any hold on me. It's got no power. I take the experience of it, the positive parts, the lessons out of it, and the rest of it are gone. And I think the more we can share that, the better off we all are. Because as long as we put shame and embarrassment and judgment on it, on that topic, and on asking for help even, people are going to choose suicide because they don't want the shame and the judgment that comes with asking for help. We need people to understand. So props for what you're doing, because having your show, giving guys you're not just the guys you're having on, but the guys that are listening, they're plugging into the tools they need to be able to go, you know what, I'm not by myself. This isn't just me, right? Vincent understands. His guests understand. The people are, okay, I'm not by myself. Now all of a sudden I can feel confident and courageous enough to ask for help. I tell my sons, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Right? Being able to say, hey, you know what? I don't know the answer to that question. Right? I don't know that's okay. Nobody knows everything. It's okay. But if I need help, I'm asking for help. Right? And contrary to most men, I'll walk into a grocery store or whatever, the greeter at Walmart. Hey, I'm looking for paper towels. I'm not walking all over the darn store trying to find the dang paper towel. I don't have time for that. I look at them and go, that's what they're there for. Can you tell me where to get paper towels? Yeah, they're in aisle 5. Thank you. I'll ask for direction. Most men don't like to do that. I'm going to do that. That saves me a huge amount of time. Why would I not do that? I don't know the answer. There's no embarrassment to that. I don't know where the paper towels are. You know what? Sue me. There's no what's the downside of that? There's no embarrassment to that. I don't know. Okay, well, ask. But I bring that into everything else. If you don't know what limiting beliefs are, ask. If you don't know how to make your life what you want it to be, ask. Plug in. So there's lots of free tools, and there's lots of people like me that can help. Not necessarily free, but that can help, right? But people don't even plug in. There's 4 billion plus men on the planet. Do you have 4 billion men watch your podcast every week or every month? Probably not. It's a freebie they can do for free. They don't even plug into that. And I want to slap them and go, you know what? If it's not, if they can't even plug into the free stuff, then they can't have it both ways, right? That's what I say all the time. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't bitch and whine and complain because your life's not what you want it to be. Not plug into the even the free tools, but then whine and complain because you're not what you want. You can't have it both ways. If you want to change, change. Make the choice and then do something about it. Right? They always say, oh, the road to hell is paved with good intention. Like it's the good intention that's the problem. The good intention is not the problem. It's the fact nobody did anything with the good intention. That's the problem. Right? Don't just have the intention. Actually put feet to it. Do something with it. Yeah, have the good intention. Right?
Phew. For me, it's just I'm so glued to the things that you're saying and also the stories that you're sharing. They're so powerful. And what I've seen with myself when you're explaining this, I always was this lone wolf. I always wanted to do everything by myself because I felt I knew all the answers. I can handle it myself. But once I got older, I realized I do need help. I cannot do this alone. And it was so difficult for me to ask for help. Maybe it's shame or I feel guilty or I feel like if I ask for help, then they will judge me for who I am or what I'm dealing with. And for me, that was so difficult. But I remembered because I had a lot of fear towards women. And every time I wanted to talk to women, I just closed off. My body was shaking and I couldn't move forward. And I was thinking, why is this happening to me? I don't understand because if I talk with somebody behind the cash register, I don't have any problems. But when it became intimate or I was attracted to somebody, I shut down. And I kept on digging and looking and I was trying to look for answers and I was trying different ways. I did the cold exposure. In a way, it did really help. But again, in a while, it came back and I tried meditation. I tried to energy healer, and it helped in a moment. But afterwards, it just came back, and for me, I didn't understand why is this coming back. So I started to reading books. I started to listen to audiobooks, and I gave clues. I gave bits of snippets, understanding what's going on with me. And then one day I was walking on the street and I saw a really beautiful lady and I just froze and I told myself, enough. I cannot spend 5 to 10 or longer years feeling like this, not experience life, feeling really shit if I didn't take action. And it was really hard for me to ask for help, especially to see a psychologist, because it brought a lot of shame, but also I need to tell him or her what's going on. And it was really difficult. But once I started to work with him, he's also really intuitive and also really connected with the spiritual guides. He taught me so much and he taught me to understand myself. And once I started with EMDR, I realized, wow, there was so much trauma stored in my body and my body remembered it all. And every time I saw a woman that I was connected with, because I was not really hurt, but it was my mom and we had a problem and she just rejected me. But my body said like, okay, so this is bad. I don't want to happen this again. So every time I saw a woman that I was attracted to, I just shut down because the body remembers.
Mhm.
But once I started to do the EMDR with him, I felt better. I felt like, okay, I feel more at ease. And then I realized like, wow, it's so powerful that traumas can really take over your life because it's stored. It's stored trauma in the body. And the body knows, the body remembers. So once I started to do that, it's been now for 1.5 years that I work with him, and I feel so much better. It's still I have my struggles, like you said, and everybody has them, but I never gave up. I always took action. I always looked for solutions, and even though it was really scary, it was really difficult. Still, I took the action, and I still feel a lot of people they know that they need to get help, but there's still maybe shame attached, or they feel like they don't need any help, or they can do it by themselves. But in the end, you're gonna be in a loop, and then before you know it, you're gonna lose a lot of years that you cannot get back, right, Gordon?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your body remembers. That's at a cellular level, right? It in your body. So when we get triggered, a trigger is an unresolved trauma that's been activated, right? I get excited. No, I'm human, so I have a visceral reaction to it in the moment. But very quickly, I'm like, wait a second, and then I get happy because, and my friends think I'm a little baffed for that, but I look at it that I can't fix it until I know. So when it goes off, I get triggered. I'm like, okay, wait. That's awesome. There's an unresolved trauma that I can deal with now because I know where it is. But if we don't reframe in those moments and we don't understand what our identity is, it makes it very difficult. Because you're right, it's at a cellular genetic level. Genetically, I can pass along my phobias to my kids in their genetics. Science, right? I'm like, how is that possible? They didn't go through that, but they can get it in my genetics passing to them. They can pick that up. So you have generational challenge, right? You hear about, dads that were abusive, but their dads were abusive and their dads were abusive, and I need to stop the chain, right? I need to stop. I don't want this pattern to continue into my kids. But that takes a lot of work because it's generationally in our genetics to pass that down to the next layer, right? But again, I keep coming back to it. If we don't understand our identity and we don't have any anchors, right? I talk about worth wells, WELLS wells, like where you get water out of. Where do you get your worth well? What's in your worth well? Where are your worth wells? Where do you go to get your worth? Because once you stop and okay, I get it from here and here and here and here and here. Great. Is that helping you or hurting you? Are those wells buoying you or are they drowning you? Do they need to get changed? Right? For me, I don't go anywhere but Papa for my identity and for my worth and value. Because I know it's never going to change. Ever. Right? So, and then the trick, if there is one, is to hold on to that and believe that at the base of myself. Yep, I know who I'm being. I'm royalty. Right? I'm a prince. I'm a child of a king. My wife's a princess. Right? We're sovereign children, sovereign sons and daughters of a king. If I can hold on to that, really, it completely changes how I make choices and decisions. Right? If I can hold on to, yes, Papa says, my dad says I have infinite worth and value for no other reason than I am. Then I don't beat myself down the way I might normally based on what I've done or thought or whatever, because are there consequences to my action? Yes, for sure. But it doesn't change my value. My worth doesn't change. Right? Just quickly, I saw a professor with a brand new, very crisp, straight from the bank $100 bill. And he held it up in his classroom. He goes, anybody want it? And every hand went up. I go, why do you want it? Well, it's worth $100. It's $100. Okay, just a second. And he crumples it up into a ball. And then he opens it back up and it's now all wrinkled and whatever. And he holds it up. He goes, anybody still want it? And every hand went up. Why? Well, it's still worth $100. Just a second. And he put it on the floor and he stepped on it and twisted his foot. He flipped it over and he got it dirty and he tore the corner off of it. And, he holds it up. He goes, anybody still want it? And they're like, yes, every hand went up. Why? Because it's still worth $100. Doesn't matter what happens to us. Doesn't matter what we've done or thought. Our value never changes. It's infinite regardless of everything else. But we need to be able to hang on to that, right? How do I hang on to that and then live from that? Because there's power there.
Well, Gordon, that one hit really hard because I always struggled with the value because I believed if I need to be this elite guy, I need to be really smart, I need to have my hair always nice, I need to be good looking, six pack, nice car, all a lot of money. I always believed that was my value. I believe that's what I need to have, but I never looked what do I have? What are my values? What is important of who I am as a being, as a human being? What are my values? But I never looked at it. I always looked outside of myself, always trying to impress people, trying to be the nice guy, and always look for the validation from others, and never look what is about me that's made me so special.
Mhm.
And I realized once I started with this podcast, it was really difficult in the beginning because I believed I didn't have any value. I couldn't give any value to the people, and it took me a year for me to start. But once I started doing, and some people they responded, and some people didn't. But one day I got an email, and he said one of your episodes changed my life because I was so stuck in the self development that I didn't take any action. And I talked in this episode that you can be stuck in the self development, but don't take action. But you really need to take action. And he said to me, I'm really grateful and thankful that you made that video. So from now on, I will take action. And it just, I couldn't believe it that somebody took the time to send me that. And I realized I need to keep doing this because the things that I can say, I can plant the seed. The
Mhm.
things that we talk about today, Gordon, you have so much value and insights. And it's really, really grateful again that you are being here and sharing this with us. But the seeds that it is, that's really important. And the awareness that people need to start, right? It's really the awareness. That's what I've seen with myself. If you don't have awareness of your behavior, the choices that you make, sometimes you make bad choices, but it's more like the emotional way of making choices, but not really aware or the consequences that it can have in the future. But awareness is really key, Gordon, right? Really be aware of yourself and your environment. And if you become aware and you become more, how can I say, you step out of the negative and in positive, your reality changes and you become really magnetic and you really changes and it really changes your life, right?
Absolutely. Awareness is a monster huge thing, right? Even from things like, um, where's Papa? So we think of him as external. He's out there someplace, right? But there's no life without him. There's no life without Papa, right? Well, that means if you're alive, if it's alive, he's already there because it wouldn't be alive without that. Without him, it's not alive. That means Papa's inside you. You hear people say a lot, oh, the answers are already inside us. Yeah, they are, because that's where Papa is. Papa's inside you, inside me, inside everybody. If they're alive, he's there. We don't have to look outside, right? But we have to have an awareness that that's where he's living, right? Because if I understand that, I can acknowledge it, plug into it, and live out of it. If I don't have awareness of that, or I don't believe that for whatever reason, I can't plug into it. I can't acknowledge, if I'm not acknowledging it. Our pastor used to say, people will live and make choices and decisions based on who they believe Papa is. And at the time, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like atheists don't even believe there is a God, right? But they make choices based on the fact they believe there is no God. They make choices and decisions based on there's nothing after this life. There's no consequence outside of it. It's exactly, there's just, they make choices that way. If I make choices based on, I think Papa's up there waiting for me to step out of line because he's an angry God and he's going to slap me when I, right? If I step out of line, I make choices a certain way, right? For me, I loving dad. Okay, I make choices a certain way because that's who I believe he is, right? So that acknowledgement, even the illustration I always use for that is Prince Harry, right? He abdicates the throne. I don't want anything to do with my family for whatever reason. He brings Meghan, comes to California, and does whatever Harry's going to do. But is there anything Harry will ever be able to do in his whole life that will ever change the fact that he was born to Prince Charles and Lady Di? No, he can't change who his parents are. He's royalty. His birthright is royalty. Whether he acknowledges that, plugs into that, and lives out of that are all completely separate issues. Papa being our dad, whether we acknowledge that, plug into that, and live out of that are all completely different issues. But it starts with an awareness that he's right here. I don't have to go anywhere to get him. He's right here. Right? And so doing that introspection on that awareness allows me the space to go, no, he's right here. He's right here. I don't have to go anywhere to find him. I can talk to him whenever I want. We have conversation however we want. He's right here. The power that he has, that he can give me, the love that he can give me for anybody else, it's right here. All I have to do is allow that flow. But I need alignment for that. So again, we go back to identity is such a weird thing because it's all kind of in an ego space, right? And it rears its ugly head all over the place in a really weird way. We show up with identity stuff when I'm working with clients that they're like, crap, it just keeps coming up. It's affecting me all over the place in places I would never have said this is what the problem is, or this is what my challenge is, right? As soon as we understand who we are, our identity really, truly, and we understand what our worth and value is, whole loads of crap in our life fix themselves. Instantly fix themselves. And it gives me because I'm anchored to it, it allows me through the storm to be able to see the lighthouse. Yep, there it is. And the light goes by, right? Oh, yep, there it is. Even though the waves are high and the storm's doing its thing and I'm having all this kind of weird crap happening in my life, I can still look up and go, nope, there it is, there it is. There, I'm still, that gives me hope. It gives me peace. Yep, right there. He's right there. Right? He's right here. I don't have to go anywhere. Yep, I'm safe. I got this. He's got me. So what can hurt me really? But we have to be able to hang on to that. We have to have that awareness to allow ourselves understanding around our alignment of our identity with our worth and value. If we can do that, I've seen it happen over and over and over and over and over in people's lives where it just transforms, in an instant transforms, right? Instantly, people go, I'm a different human being. People around them go, what happened to you? Right? It freaks people out because it doesn't need to take forever and a day to change. It needs a choice. And then to your point, it needs action, right? It needs action. Take action. A lot of times the difference between successful, not successful is actually doing it. Don't just have the plan. Execute the plan. Do what you said, right? Like so many people they have a plan. They don't execute the plan and then they bitch and whine and complain because their life's not what they want it to be. It's like, well, hey, schmuck, come on. Do what you said you wanted to do. You've got the plan. Execute the plan. Do something with it. Have some awareness around your alignment and around your identity, and it makes a monster difference.
So, Gordon, can you share a little bit, because you talk a lot about identity. So what can you tell us about how to find that puzzle pieces in yourself? Because I've seen it with myself. Once I started this podcast, I felt it because I'm really intuitive. I listen to my heart and my gut feeling. What do I need to do? And because of agendas and things that's happening in the world and how our men and women are being like separated, but more like men are being pushed in the feminine and women are pushed in the masculine, I felt I have to do something. It's not somebody told me, hey, you need to do this, or hey, you need to start this podcast. I felt in my heart that I wanted to do this because I want to help. I can for me is I'm not have like decades and decades of learning and reading and all of that, but the things that I've learned by myself, the books that I've read, I can share it with people. I can give them tools and insights, and it really created my identity, even though I didn't know it. But I created this identity. Okay, I'm this person, this influencer. I can help people. I can help men find their power in their heart or the power of who they want to be. And once I start doing that, and once I started to harness that persona, I felt, wow, I can take on the world because I'm helping people. And what I loved about your story, what you shared with us in before, just a simple greet, just a simple smile, just to say, hey, how are you? It has a huge impact. I've seen it with myself because because I can be really introverted and shy. So I want to get out of the comfort zone because I know I can become a better man. No, I know I can. I want to improve, and just saying hi to somebody and or making them smile, you see them. Wow, you see them lighting up. You see them change. So that for me is also really powerful. That men or for people need to do that more. We need to start being more connected. We're so, like you said, we're so disconnected. So this it's we're always stuck on this. We when you see them sometimes when you're like you said in a restaurant and people scrolling and you see them talking to them, they don't even register.
Right.
They don't even acknowledge that they're there. They just consumed on their phone. And I remember what I said also in my episode and also to other people is imagine that you're with your partner and you have a big fight and you go in a big fight together in bed and you sleep and the next day you wake up and she isn't there anymore. How bad did you wish that you tell that you loved her? How bad did you want to give a kiss on the forehead and say it's okay, we're gonna make it through? But we don't even think about it. We, like you said, we always believe that life is always gonna be the same every single day. We're gonna wake up, we're gonna do our things, and then that's it. But you don't know. You don't know what's gonna happen.
No.
So that just really that give me always like chills because you don't know. You don't know if this person is gonna wake up that you care about, or your brother, or your sister, or your friend, or your best friend. Also, what you share with us with other people that experience that. So I try to be this man to tell people that like, hey, I acknowledge them. I see them for who they are. I see them for who they can be. And I feel that it's so powerful if you can really see that, right? You can see the power in people that they don't see themselves. So that's why what I love your what you said, be the beacon, be the light, and show people the way. I cannot hold their hands and say like, okay, just do this and this, but with this podcast, I just want to be for the man and share them or show them that there's a way out. Not taking your life, but there are other ways for you to improve or to get help. So I really wanted to share this with you, Gordon, and if you can share a little bit more about the identity, so I have also a bit better understanding, that would be really awesome.
Well, it's understanding. Everybody wants to be. Let's say it like this. So we do have these Superman moments. I call them Superman moments, where we put our hands on our hips and we go, "I'm going to be unabashedly, unapologetically me, and if they like it, great, and if they don't like it, I don't care." Right? And then somebody we love or trust questions it, and instead of standing in that empowerment, we turtle. I got to put my mask back on. They're not going to love me if I'm not this other person, right? If I'm not this other, what I think they think, which is completely neurotic, but we're not even being a version of ourselves. We're being what we think they think we're supposed to be, right? The mask is not even it's not even real. When you actually talk to them and go, hey, who do you think I am? And they tell you, oh crap, that's not who I thought you thought I, do you know what I mean? And we spend all this time and energy not being present. It's a gift. called present, right here, right now. So if I can be present right here, right now, and understand that my identity is I'm royalty. That's everybody's identity. Everybody on the planet, we're all his kids. The challenge is, can you believe that? Because we allow our reality, the matrix, things we can see and touch and feel in our human experience, we allow that to mess with and to blind us from the real stuff. The spiritual side is the real stuff. But we allow all our human stuff to drag us in 1,000 directions and block our view of what the real is. Because we can't see it. Oh, that's woo-woo. That's woo-woo. You know, I can't see it. Spiritual? Yeah, that's not real. Well, yeah, that's the real. Everything else, all the stuff we can see, this is the matrix. This stuff isn't real. It's energy. It looks like a computer. It looks like a phone. It looks like a pen. But if you look at it under a microscope really close, it's a bunch of atoms moving. Everything is. But we don't perceive it that way. People will live and act out of what they believe, is the short answer to your question. How do you figure out identity? All you have to do is believe that. All I have to do is believe I'm royalty, and that's the real. And whether I believe that or not doesn't matter. It doesn't change what is. But as soon as I believe that and hang on to that, I start to make choices different. Right? If I can believe my identity is that I'm a child of a king. That's everybody's identity. We're all children of his. Do you believe that? Can you hang on to that? Everybody's like, I want to be unique. I want to be unique. Be you. That's unique. Nobody else can do that. Right? But oh no, me isn't enough. No, you is enough. Just the way you are. Show up as you. Yeah, but people are not going to, I don't care. There's a linchpin there. Can you stand in that empowerment of going, you know what? I'm going to be unabashedly, unapologetically me. And if you like it, great. And if you don't like it, that's still great. I'm okay with that. But we want everybody to like us. We want to be nice. I say to my clients all the time, you want me to be nice or kind? And they're like, same thing, Gord. I'm like, no, actually, it's not. Nice is what I've been for a long time. I don't be nice anymore. There's no growth in nice. Getting along with everybody, people pleasing, that's nice. No, I want to be kind. And they're like, what's the difference? I said, kind will tell you have a piece of toilet paper on your shoe. Kind will tell you you've got a big booger in your nose just before you go on stage in front of 10,000 people. Kind will have the hard conversation with you and loves you enough not to leave you where they found you. That's kind. And the client's looking at, no, you need to be kind. Exactly. That's the only place growth comes. That's the only where that you can't grow in nice. You need kind. You need somebody to be able to love you enough to go, you know what? You're screwing up. Hey, hey, let me pick you up and dust you off and pat you on the butt and go, hey, you'll get it next time. Call me on my shit when it happens. I need people around me that do that. Yes, people don't get me moving forward. That's useless to have them, or yes, people just tell me what I already know or what I already think is right. That doesn't help me. Even when I read 5-7 books, business books a month. August, I'll make 36 years doing that. I journal in 5 different journals every day, 36 years of doing that as of August. And I go to 4 business conferences a year. The point is, I'll read stuff now that I know I don't agree with. You read the back of the book, you go, no, I don't agree with that. That's crap. I read it anyway. Why? Because it challenges and makes me hunt. And why do I believe it that way? maybe I hear something when I read that I go, you know what, I hadn't thought of that way before. And it rounds out what I believe, right? It makes it more, okay, you know what, maybe this piece wasn't quite like I thought it was. Maybe it's like this. Great, no problem. I can deal with that, right? I can figure that out. But if I can't step into that for myself, if my ego is so fragile I can't let it be challenged, I'm not going to grow. But Warren Buffett, before he makes a big decision, he puts 20 people in a room, half of which do not believe he invests correctly, in spite of his ridiculous success. And he asks the question, this is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? And he gets everybody's opinion. And it may not change what he's going to do. But a lot of times he goes, you know what? I get some really good ideas. I hadn't thought of that. I mean, I can pivot just a little bit and make it even more effective when I make the decision. But a lot of people don't have that kind of confidence in who they are. Warren Buffett knows exactly who he is. Exactly who he is. And he stays in his lane. He knows exactly who he is. And he lives out of that, makes decisions and choices out of that every day. And I don't know if Papa is his anchor for all that. I don't know. What I do know is anything outside of Papa anchored is going to move. Even my own opinion of me, right? Some days I wake up, I can jump a small building in a single bound, and 2 days later, I'm not enough somehow. So even my own opinion of me does this. But Papa's opinion of me doesn't do that. That's a good anchor, right? That's a worthwhile. I only have to go to one. What does my creator say my value and worth is? That has weight for me. And that's my personal journey. I'm not saying everybody needs what I am saying is, why would I go anywhere else? Everything else is going to move. My wife, some days she loves me always, but some days she'll look at me and go, you're an idiot, right? Some days it's not that she loves me less, but she's going to say things that I go, oh man, if that's a worthwhile for me, and she tells me, she rips my head off because I screwed something up or whatever, all of a sudden I don't have any worth, right? Or my worth drops because, okay, doesn't think I'm worth, at least by the way she's talking, my value went down. She loves me to death. But Papa, that never happens for Papa. Straight all the time, exactly. Gord's awesome. Incredible. Doesn't matter what he does, what he says. None of it matters. He is the man, right? Doesn't matter what Vincent says, what he does. If he screws up, not screws up. He thinks he's like, no, you know what? That absolutely is not true. He is the man. Right? I love, and Papa's saying to us, I love you and I like you a lot. That's a good place to anchor, right? Identity, worth, and value anchored right there. That's good anchor, really good anchor, right? But in terms of the short answer to your question is, you just have to believe that's who you are. And then go and do that. You said, it took me a year, but as soon as I actually had podcasts, you stepped into that empowerment and realized very quickly, you know what? Crap, look. Why did I wait a year?
Yeah.
What did you do? You executed on your on the plan. You actually took steps. You stepped into that empowerment. Right? We are human beings, not human doings. Okay? But we have to actually do at some point, but we need the alignment of understanding our worth and our value and who we're being, so that what we do is an extension of who we're being. Right? If you think of it that way. Humans want to complicate the crap out of everything. It can't be that simple. You're telling me my identity, all I have to do is believe. Yep. No, it's got to be more complicated than that. No. Do you believe you're a podcast, an influencer podcast? Yes. Great. Then you are. Do you make choices that way? Let me ask you a question. And
Go ahead.
I'll stop talking. Um, if you, if I could make for you to win the lottery, I'm not sure what your currency looks like, but 100 million US dollars. Okay. Sunday night, you win the lottery. You go to bed. What kind of, you may not sleep because you're too excited, right? Right. But why are you excited?
Because it gives freedom. You have choice. You can do whatever you want to do. If I want to go on vacation the next day, I can do that. I can quit my job. I can live the life that I always dreamed of living. So it opens a lot of opportunities. Also, business wise, I can invest in myself. I can more. I can invest in my business. I can collaborate with you, Gordon. I can collaborate with other people. I can. The whole world opens up for you. So that would be make me really excited. And what I want to add is most people would say, "Ah, well, I'm gonna buy a house and I'm gonna buy a car and they're always going to how they can buy things instead of how can I buy experiences.
Right.
And that for me is the most important. I want to buy experiences because money, your car, your house, you cannot take it with you when you pass away.
Right.
But your experience will last on with you forever.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put a caveat on it. Okay. So you win the money. That's on a Sunday night. Monday morning, you won the lottery the night before, but you don't wake up Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
You pass. Do you still want the money?
No,
Why?
because you have no use for it because you're dead.
Okay. So a lot of people wake up Monday morning and go, "Oh crap, another Monday. Mondays suck. Mondays are." What you just did was tell me that you value waking up in the morning above $100 million of cash, and yet we wake up in the morning and go, "Oh man." Perspective,
Yeah.
right? If we wake up in the morning, everybody goes, "Oh yeah, but that's just waking up." More than 6 figures of people across the whole planet didn't get that benefit this morning. They didn't wake up this morning, right? So if we're going to value, I can say it another way. So, do you have a net worth over $10 million?
No.
Okay. So I can remedy that for you. I will stroke you a check for 10 million, but I need you to give me your eyes. Do we have a deal?
No.
How come?
Because my eyes are more valued than the money.
Right. You told me I don't have a net worth over 10 million. You just valued your eyes all by themselves over 10 million. And that's before we talk about your heart and your lungs and your skin and anything else that you could, right? Kidneys, right? Why do we not put any value on that? Because it was free. We just take it for granted. It's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
It's always just there. Well, no, it's not always just there. I'm a walking, talking billboard for what happens. No, it's not always just there. Right? But we don't appreciate it until it's not there, or it hurts, or doesn't work. Then we appreciate it. We have, and Papa says, we have infinite value for no other reason than we are. You just valued your eyes all by themselves above 10 million. Your life you valued above $100 million. And yet we walk around and go, "Oh man, I'm not enough." And really? It's very simple. It's not always easy, but it's very simple.
The thing that I want to add is, Gordon, now you made me aware of this. It's like, man, you're so right. For me, I'm guilty as well. I've sometimes had my days like, oh, I need to get out and I need to go to work. But I never stand still like, oh, I just woke up today. I'm alive today.
Hmm.
And I really want to thank you for sharing this with me because you just go on the roll. You just wake up, you go to your job, and come home and make dinner,
Right.
and I start working on the podcast or the other things, but I never standing still like, wow, I'm still reading today. I still woke up today.
Right.
And yeah, I'm just a bit shocked because you made me aware of realizing that I need to be more grateful of waking up the next day.
Mhm. The other thing is, and to sort of put a bow on any of that, if Papa's inside each of us, then what we see on the outside doesn't matter. The costume doesn't matter, right? We judge people based on what we can see. Homeless, LGBTQ, their nationality, their gender, whatever it is, right? We judge people based on that. But if Papa loves them as much as he loves you and I, and sees them as having infinite value, regardless of what they've done, how does that change how we look at anybody else? As soon as I had awareness of that, it changed, completely flipped me over, because I'm like, wait a second. It doesn't matter. I'm not here to judge whether that's right, it's wrong, it's good, it's bad. It doesn't matter. Papa loves all of us exactly the same. Who the hell am I to have my values or my judgment is higher than his? Oh, he might love you, but I can't love you because of, really? As soon as I realize that, I understand what my identity is, and being able to hold on to that. Being able to see everybody's in that same boat. He loves you and I as much as he loves anybody you and I could name that we go, oh, not a good human. He loves them just the same. They're his kids. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, crap. Now the way I interact with people completely changed, because I'm like, wait a second. They're my sibling. Spiritually speaking, they're my sibling. And our dad loves you just as much as he loves me. I don't understand why, based on but that's not the point. He loves you as much as he loves me. And all of a sudden, the way I looked at everybody around me shifts. When you put those two pieces together, if I understand my own intrinsic worth and value, and I know who I'm being, and I realize everybody is being that same thing, all of a sudden the way I interact with everybody else in my life changes. Because I'm leading with love then. Even when we're human, there's a judgment, right? When my brain goes, oh yeah, no, but no, that's a choice. I have to choose to put that to the side and go, no, it doesn't matter what my judgment says. Now, I'm not saying we throw the judgment completely out the window and someone that's just a nasty human being, I'm just going to open up and, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is I'm going to love the person. I may not love the behavior, but I'm going to love the person, and they're going to know, regardless of the fact that maybe we do this on theology or on whatever the topic, nobody has the same, we don't all have exactly the same opinion about everything. Boring world if we did, right? But we can vehemently disagree about everything else, but at the end of the day, they leave me knowing at the end of the day, Gord cares about me. He does love me. We can disagree on everything, but at the end of the day, I know he loves me. Which at the end of, that's my word for my life is love. It's in my will. It's going to say on my tombstone, I always knew he loved me. Part of that is Papa. I always know he loves me. But the other part of that is I don't want anybody to leave a conversation or leave a space or leave any kind of interaction with me, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours long, or it's just that quick smile as you go by them. I don't want anybody to walk away from me and go, I'm not sure whether he cares about me or not. I don't want anybody to leave an interaction like that. Right? My word for this year is catalyst, spark. To your point earlier, planting a seed. Catalyst is planting a seed, lighting a fire under somebody, getting them going. I may not see the full fruit of it, but I'm getting into, you hear it a lot, but I'm at a phase and a station of my life where I'm planting seeds for trees that I will never sit under for another generation. I'm planting seeds and lighting fires in people that I may never see the fruit of, but that's okay because I know it will come down the road, right? It will be there at some point. It'll show up. You're planting seeds every day. You're planting seeds all over the place, right? Some of them will come to fruition and you'll see the tree during your lifetime. Some of them you won't. Some of them won't be big enough. You won't be able to have shade, cop some shade underneath that tree, full grown tree, but it doesn't mean you don't plant the seed. There's no benefit for me, so screw it, I'm not doing it. No, that's not how it works, right? And so, you know, I'm just saying all these things are connected. This is all connected, right? My identity, my worth and value, the way I view the world, right? Is that where my anchors are? That's all connected in the same place, first of all, right? Because that's all coming from Papa. But if I can get the 1, 2 things correct and hold on to them, who I'm being and my worth and value, literally my life transforms. As soon as I understand, you know what? Not only do I understand who I am and my identity, but I understand their identity. Now I interact with them in a completely different way, right? It's kind of like when they asked Michelangelo about the statue David, how did you see that in the rock? And Michelangelo said he was already there. It was already there. All I did was brush off all the rough parts, right? Personal development is not growth. Personal development is not expansion of who we are. Personal development, life in general, is the crucible. It's like layers of an onion. We can't become who we already are. We can't become who we already are. You're already royalty. You're already perfect just the way you are. So what's happening? You're being willing to peel the layers of that onion, going through, peeling it off, all the hard stuff, all the stuff that isn't who you really truly are. Life, and you're choosing to do personal development, is peeling that off to expose who you really are. The question is, can you do that? Do you have the courage to do that? Because it's hard. Very hard to be willing to be transparent and vulnerable at that level. And then to let anybody else see it. It takes massive, massive, massive amounts of courage to do that. Right? Which is why most people don't do it, because it's too hard. And I'm going to lose people. It's messy. It hurts. It requires introspection at a level I just don't want to do. And so they stumble along and they try. And what ends up happening, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I see over and over and over and over for a lot of us, especially guys that are trying to help, guys or gals, what we do is run around pruning, pulling off the rotten fruit from the tree. We're all aimed at the symptom, not at the root cause. We're all going, because as soon as they get their identity, instantly a lot of those things get fixed. The root underneath it all is what's producing what the fruit is. So I had this conversation with somebody, and I loosely referred to it as a test case. It wasn't really, but somebody had said to me, hey, here's somebody that's got an addiction. Can you help them? I'm like, I'm not a therapist. And they're like, no, I didn't say you were. Can you help them? Yep. So I spent some time with them. They understood and figured out what their identity is. Really, truly. They understand what their worth and value is. And I'm handed them back to the therapist, and they went, oh man. I said, send him through his 12-step program now. And they're like, really? I said, yeah, there's a place for that. right? But it's the same as, and he ripped through it. Unbelievable. Completely different human by the time he was done. And they're like, what happened? I would say, well, it's the same as fire. Fire needs several components to have flame. If one of those components goes away, you don't have flame. So one of those components is fuel. There has to be some kind of thing to burn, right? Whether it's wood or whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. The point is, whatever the fuel is, gasoline, whatever. But if you take that fuel away, there's no flame, there's no fire. I said, what I did with that gentleman was take away the fuel from his addiction. And now when he does his 12-step program, he ripped through it quick. And it was ridiculously effective. Why? Because the fuel was gone. The addiction is just a coping mechanism we use. Right? But if you take the fuel out from underneath it, doesn't matter what the addiction is, doesn't matter what it is, they're all the same. It's a coping mechanism. There's something deeper there. Right? And if we just deal with the addiction, we're robbing that person. We're not digging the root out. Right? We're dealing with the symptoms of the problem, not the actual problem. If we can deal with the root problem, figure out what the root problem is, there's no more symptom of bad fruit because we solved it on the root. I had somebody recently say to me, Gord did, what did he call it? Spiritual soul surgery when we talk. And I'm like, I find that very interesting. Right? It's surgery. It's soul level. It's not therapy. It's not mentorship. It's something that goes way, way, way deeper. Way, way deeper. If they'll let it go.
Yeah, the thing that I want to add is, Gordon, before we're gonna go into the commercial, is, like I said, trauma really takes control of your life if you don't deal with them. And I saw it with my porn addiction. Once I let it roam free, like I said, it was a coping mechanism because of the rejection that my mom, that I had with her. I was looking for ways to cope, and pornography was for me a way to cope with it. But I didn't want to change it because it was safe, and I didn't want to leave that safety or that comfort zone. So for me, it was really difficult to really let go of pornography and say, okay, I don't need you anymore. Because once I did, it was like, oh, maybe just one more time. And I kept on doing it over and over again. But I knew it was just painful and I knew it was not healthy for me. But still, I choose to go back to it instead of just face it and deal with it and heal myself. And I feel like a lot of people are still afraid of going through that shadow side, the painful moments, the painful trauma that they experience. So the advice that I want to give you before we're gonna go in the commercial is just be brave. Be brave and say to yourself, I want to change. I want to get help. Even though I'm really afraid to get help, still do it because you, like Gordon explained, you will take the fruits of it. You don't see it right away, but once you're gonna do it, you will feel a lot better and you feel there's an understanding behind the story of the trauma. And also you can give it a place because now I can give it a place and I have no need for the pornography because I understand and I feel my body solved it with help with the psychologist. So I feel like that's really important for being aware. The reason that you do is because of trauma, and it's not always like that, but I feel like most people that I see, I also want to talk to you later about the mask because I see a lot of people wearing a mask, but it's because of the things that happen to them. And they think, okay, now I'm older, I put it away, and now I don't have to deal with them anymore. But the truth is, it's always there.
Mhm.
And if you don't deal with it, it will really take over your life, and you will lose decades of your life if you don't make the change.
Right.
So I really wanted to add that. And Gordon, again, it's when you talk, I'm always so zoomed into your talking. I'm always so careless of or really keen of what you're saying, and I've learned so much also about identity and also about the level of awareness. And what really hit me hard was really be grateful when you wake up. And I'm really grateful, and I want to thank you for making that to my attention and really be more smile. Wake up with a smile. Wake up and be happy, even though it's gonna be or you feel like it's gonna be a bad day or something bad happens to you. Still wake up with a smile, and you will see everything is gonna be better.
Mhm.
And really, like you said, believe. That's what I've learned over the last couple of years. Really believe that everything's gonna be okay. Because we're tenants, and if you believe that everything's gonna be okay, then everything is gonna be okay. You will attract it. You will manifest it. So Gordon, again, thank you so much for this amazing part right now, and I'm gonna go into a commercial for just for a couple of minutes, and then I want to talk a little bit deeper about the mask and also to go into the heart space, and especially for men. So this is gonna be really cool. So here you go, guys. We're gonna go in commercial for a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere.
Increasing expenses have caused us all a lot of pressure these days, and it's affecting even the wealthiest of people. Most have lost their sense of security, stability, and even hope for a strong financial future. The game plan of everyone in your cell phone has likely been disrupted or even hardcore stopped, and most are looking for a creative solution to regain financial momentum. Oftentimes, life's best solutions are the simplest. But first, a question. What is something most people think they should own but don't? Crypto, fine art, real estate? Nope. We are talking about real money. The kind kings and queens fought for and large institutions today buy in mass. We're talking about gold and silver, assets that provide confidence in tough financial situations. So the question is, do you own any? If you don't, you're not alone. Most people aren't maximizing the power of precious metals because it's just been too complicated. And even though they see advertisements about gold and silver daily, they don't really know who to trust. That is, until now. The bottom line is that buying gold and silver doesn't have to be complicated or scary. There's a simple, better way to accumulate assets and create financial peace, headache-free. And this very minute, a new community of average people are seeing above average results to the tune of tens of millions in assets over the last few years. This system is tested, it's simple, and it's not an experiment. To date, it's helped more than 80,000 people bring hope back into their lives. It's invitation only, and right now, this new community has accepted a challenge to give away as much free gold this year as possible. Curious? Learn how to get your free gold today. Check out the next step to get the details.
Hey guys, we're back. So Gordon, like I said in the beginning, and through this episode, it's really powerful, and again, I'm so grateful that you put so much time being here and giving so much value. So I'm really grateful. But what really stuck up to me is really the mask. The mask that I've been wearing a mask also for a long time, and I was so afraid of letting go of that mask. And I see a lot of people in society have this fake mask on, but they're really afraid of showing their true selves. And I see it really with men. Really, they have this mask and they think they need to be masculine all the time. They need to be strong. They're not allowed to cry. They're not allowed to show emotion. They need to be this tough guy. And I see a lot of men, they crumble under the pressure of being this perfect man. So why and how did it start for people and especially men to wear that mask? What is the reason for doing that?
They they don't understand who they're being, and they don't understand what their worth and value is. That's the short answer. Because Prince Harry probably doesn't wear a mask. He knows who he is. Warren Buffett doesn't probably not wear a mask, or very rare, because I think we wear multiple masks. So there's a mask that we might wear in public when we do our podcast. There may be a different mask we wear when we're talking to our friends and people around us in the real world. There may be a different mask we wear with our family. We wear masks because we're not confident in who we are, which typically starts probably in our teens, right? Like what you think of baby, you have children, little kids, and they're trying to start to walk, right? They don't fall down once and the parents pick them up and dust them off and go, come on, you can do it. And they fall down the second time and the parent picks them up and dusts them off. Come on, you can do this. I believe in you. You can do it. And they fall down the third time and go, you know what? Screw it. Walking is not for me. I'm out. That's not what happens, right? They keep doing it until they figure it out. Somewhere along the line, someone sold them a bill of goods that they weren't enough the way they are. Kids can be cruel, right? So we don't like your hair. We don't like your hat. We don't like your clothes. We don't like you're skinny or you're fat, or the kids are pick on everybody for whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that puts that piece inside us that goes, wait a second, I can't be me, because if I'm me, they won't like me. I will not get acceptance because I'm looking at that age. You're looking for it outside of yourself. The challenge with that is that gets so ingrained into us. Lots of people live their whole life that way. What are other people going to think of me? Right? I spent 25 years in the retail automotive sector. And we used to say 90% of the car buying decisions, more than 90% of them were influenced by a woman. Whether they're dating, married, it doesn't matter. Right? Even a single guy will sit in a car and it goes through their head, what will the chicks think of me? And they're like, well, how do I look in this car? It goes through their head. Right? But the point is they're thinking about somebody else. It doesn't matter. I remember this lady, she asked me to help her find a vehicle. I said, yes. We're looking at a bunch of stuff. I had come from a Kia and Hyundai background at the time. That's where my last dealerships I ran. And I said to her, have you considered a Soul? And she goes, no, you mean that box square looking thing? Yeah, no, I'm out. I'm like, okay. So we looked at all the things that she said she wanted or were more her choice. They weren't in the right price range. They didn't have the equipment. She had to pay way more to get the things that she wanted. I said to her, can you humor me? Can we go over and look at a Soul? And she goes, oh, man. All right, I'll look at any other vehicle of that brand, but I'm not looking at a Soul. I'm like, okay. So again, to the point earlier, we executed on the idea. We walked into a dealership of that brand. We actually did something with it. So we walk in, we're looking around. She looked at a bunch of different things, and then she sees a price tag on a Soul that's in the showroom. That's all duded up. It's got all these extra things on it. It's been pimped out huge, and it looks great. But I said to her, humor me, just sit in it. Gordon, humor me, just sit in it. And so she sat in it, and she starts to look around. She goes, wow, this is very well equipped. This has got like all the things I wanted on it. This has more than I wanted on it. This is awesome. Is that price right? Yep. Wow. But it's still a box. It's still a box. I don't like it. And I'm like, all right, tell you what. Again, humor me. Take it for a ride. No, I can't. Take it for a ride. And then I asked the people in the dealership, pull this one out of the showroom. I don't want her driving something else. I want her driving this one. Okay, so they went through the hassle of getting it out of the showroom. We went for a ride. But on that ride, I said to her, do you like it? Yep. Does it have the equipment you want? Yep. She said, I even like the color. I'm like, great. How do you look in it? Well, I'm driving it. I have no idea how I look in it. Exactly. Doesn't matter what it looks like, what you look like in it. Do you like it? Yeah. Will it meet your budget? Yeah. Great. Perfect. And she loves it now. She did lease that vehicle. But the point is, when she's inside it, it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside. It doesn't matter. She can't see that anyway. But we get hooked into what other people are going to think of what they see of what we're doing. So we wear a mask, and then we wonder why we're confused. So situation happens. We know how we would respond to that or react to that. But we stop for a second and go, wait. No. I'm not being me. I'm being this other person. How will they react? And then we wonder why we're confused. We're confused because we're not being ourselves. Because we don't know who we are. We don't understand what our worth and value is. So we put a mask on. If you really truly believed, and it doesn't matter, is everybody going to love you? No. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody is everybody's cup of tea. Nobody. Think of the most popular people you know. There's people that hate them. And there may be millions and millions and millions of people that think they're amazing and follow them on social media. That's wonderful. There's still millions and millions and millions of people that don't like them. Well, if that's the case, then put the mask down. What you'll find out just like that is who your real friends are. Instantly, you'll find out. And you won't have to ask people to leave your circle or your sphere. They just do it on their own. The weirdest thing happens, though, that again, ego goes, I got to protect ourselves. So it doesn't want us to do that. Because what's it worried about? It's worried about being alone. If I'm me and everybody walks away because they don't like me or don't love me anymore, I'm alone. I don't want to be alone. The weirdest thing happens when we get authentic with ourselves, though. If I'm 100% authentic, when I first shaved my head and I got it's getting a little shaggy. I need my wife to cut it on the sides. But when I first did that, a member of my family, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I won't tell you it was my mother-in-law. Put my face in her hands and she goes, I hate your hair. And I'm like, that's a good thing I didn't do it for you then, isn't it? Right? I said, I've conformed for what everybody else in my life wanted my whole life. I've spent 50 years because that's what church wanted. That's what my parents wanted. That's what my job wanted. I've conformed for 50 years. I'm done. I am not going to do it anymore. If you're going to judge me because of my beard or my hair or my clothes or I don't care. I really don't care. It doesn't matter. It's okay that you don't like me. The weirdest thing happens, though. Some people go away because they don't like whatever real is, or they feel convicted that you're being real and they don't feel I can't do that. And so every time I see Gord, I go, it reminds me I'm not being myself. And I don't want to do that, so I just go away. Right? But the weirdest thing happens. I attract people that love the authenticity. We're never alone. All the things we want are on the other side of that fear. I want to put that out as I ask clients all the time now, what's your greatest fear? And they're like, well, and I'm like, no, don't say that out loud. Because it's not right anyway. Oh yeah, I know exactly what it is. No, you don't. Try that exercise with yourself. What's your greatest fear? And you start to write it down. The first thing that comes to mind, you write it down. As soon as before you get it written down, you'll go, oh, wait. Oh yeah, this one's even worse. And you'll write another one. Before you get that written down, you go, no, wait, there's another one. And the next thing you know, you got a list of 25 things right? But once you get to that greatest fear, the paradigm, the shift is this. Our greatest fear is our greatest desire. Our greatest fear is our greatest desire. A client recently, he said to me, Gord, when I did that, he said, he's a spiritual guy. And he said, Gord, when I got to the bottom of that, I just kept writing. He said, it occurred to me and I wrote it down and went, that can't be right. And he went, no, that resonates. That's correct. My greatest fear is that I've hooked my wagon to the wrong. He's a spiritual guy. So, right. Christian guy. So he's like, my greatest fear is that that's not real. And I've hooked my wagon for my whole life to something that didn't matter anyway, because it's not right. And I was like, I find that very interesting. He goes, why? I said, your greatest fear is your greatest desire. And he started to cry because he realized, wait a second, my greatest desire is to have that relationship with Papa at that kind of a deep, 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 deep level. But he's scared. We're afraid. Fear is not real. Danger's real. Fear is a construct of our brain. It has nothing to do with reality. I can prove that very easily. Ever watched a horror movie? Scared the shit out of you. You were in no danger whatsoever. It's a movie. But emotionally, it took you to a place where you were scared. It's not real. Fear is not real. Fear can be a very good catalyst to drive ourselves forward if we allow it to. The challenge is most people use fear as the excuse not to press forward. They're using it as an excuse, as a release valve to go, no, I don't have to do that. Right? I don't want to do that. So in the space of all of that, where did the mask come from? It's built into us. Society reinforces it from children. We get, right? Initially, we're okay. Initially, we'll try anything. You ever watch very small children? They have no concept of what the repercussions of what they're doing is, right? So they'll jump off the back of thing. You're like, holy crap, wait a second, you get hurt, right? As adults, we see all the what could be the consequence of your choice. But at that age, they have no concept of that. Right? Same reason we have why kids believe in Santa up to a certain point. All of a sudden they don't believe that anymore. Right? There's an awareness, there's a consciousness. Once that happens, all of a sudden I start to go, wait. Wait a second. Life is not this easy. And people can be mean. People can be, I need to protect myself. And so I turn into this mask. Right? And I may have a whole drawer full of masks that I put on depending on what I want to show people. Right? I go to a party, I put on a certain mask. Right? If I'm going to a seminar, I put on a certain mask. How do I want people to see me? It just gets so confusing because you're a different person in all these different environments. It's all of a sudden, you know what? Screw that. I'm out. I'm just going to be me. And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. It's awesome. It takes away too much energy to put a different mask on. To be a completely different person, show up as a completely different human. I'm going to show up authentically, 100% me. And if that works for you, perfect. And if it doesn't, no problem. We can still be friends, or I can still think you're amazing. If no problem, I don't have a problem with that. And I think that's where the linchpin is. For most people, they can't stand there in that empowerment and be themselves without the mask and be confident. You know what? I love me. Beyond that, Papa loves me. My creator thinks I'm all that in a bag of chips. Who the hell are you? The person that created me thinks I'm amazing and loves me just the way I am. If you can't, that's on you. I don't care. Right? But again, if I don't have that kind of identity or worth and value anchored that way, it makes it very difficult. I'm going to keep running around putting masks on and being frustrated and wondering who. I said to my wife last year, and she didn't understand that initially. I said, I prefer to be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. Right? As soon as I take the mask off, if you don't love me anymore, you never did. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. But the question is, do we have the courage to pull the mask off and go, you know what? Do the Superman moment and go, I'm going to be unabashedly, unapologetically me. And if you like it, great. And if you don't like it, that's wonderful. That's fine. I'm still going to be me. And when someone questions it, we explain it. I stand there in my Superman and go, nope, this is what I'm going to be me. I don't like it. I don't care. It has nothing to do with you. My journey is not for you. I don't need your authorization. I don't need your approval or permission. My journey is for me. You don't even have to understand it. It's not for you. It's for me. And I know my creator loves me just the way I am. You may not, but he does. And at the end of the day, the person that created me is the person I'm going to put way more stock in what they think than what anybody else on the planet thinks, even me. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, because when I listened to it, there's a lot of things that came to mind that really resonated with me. And what really stuck with me was the fear of rejection. And a lot of people fear that rejection because if they think, for example, the job that they really want and they get rejected, that they are worthless,
right?
That they're not good enough to have this job. Or when they go talk to women that they attracted and she rejected him, he thinks he's not lovable, he's not okay to start a family, or he's not okay to have a girlfriend or a partner.
Right.
But once I switch that, for example, when I get rejected for the job, I say, well, this is then not the job for me.
Right.
I get rejected because I need to focus on something else. Or when this lady is rejecting me, I say, well, okay, then we're not meant to be together. And once I shifted that perspective, life became a lot easier. There was less stress. I didn't have to become somebody that I'm not, even though it was really hard to rip that mask off because I was holding on to it to keep it safe. Like, okay, people can see not the real me, and then I'm safe. But in the end, I was lying. I was saying things that wasn't even true. I was making up stories. It wasn't me. I wasn't authentic. I was pretending to be somebody that I'm not.
Right.
And once I started to harness that power to see, okay, I'm valuable, I'm good enough, I'm okay as I am, then you don't have to try so hard, like you mentioned. You can relax. You can wait for people to come into your life or attract them and also you can say goodbye to those people.
Mm-hmm.
But you have that power. And once I realized all of that, and also what you explained really amazingly was, if you're being your true self, life is magical because you can live life on your own terms. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to be somebody that you're not. You can make decisions on what you feel like is important and not what other people think is important for you. And if things don't go as you planned or don't go as you wanted to go, that's fine. It is what it is, and you cannot have control. And I feel like a lot of people, they want control over the outcome and interactions and how they want to move it because fear. But like you said, and that story came to me was also when you were explaining that when I want to go dig on fat was when we are in the ball sack of our father, there are millions and millions of sperm cells rushing to the egg. And we were so powerful, so committed. Of all the 100 millions of seeds, we made it. So now we are here as human form and something goes bad and we're not good enough or we're feeling that we are not worth it. I think back in that moment, like I fought my ass to go through that egg and be here and be alive. And now I'm wasting it by doing nothing, watching TV, sitting on my ass, complaining.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to do powerful things. I'm here to help people change their lives. I'm trying to make an impact for people, for me men, to make something out of their lives because life is short. And we, like you mentioned, we don't know how long we have. Then maybe tomorrow where it's over. So that's so powerful. If you change the mindset, if you change the things, if you change how you look at things, a lot of things will drop off your shoulder. And that changed everything for me, Gordon. Really to change that mindset from the negative into the positive. Be aware of my behavior, beware of my actions, and beware of the consequences. And even though I also got, how can I say, I got scammed. Yeah, it was painful, but in the end, I told myself, how can I learn from this?
Mhm.
What was it for me to teach it? What was life wanted me to learn? And once I changed that, it's like, okay, I made a mistake, but next time I will do better research. Next time I will take my time before I say yes or I invest or whatever.
Yep.
So everything that happened to me is all for me because it will form me as who I need to become, because we have a plan, we have a design, we need to become who we need to be, but it's not going to be easy.
Right.
So thank you so much, Gordon.
No,
What?
you're already who you're supposed to be.
Exactly, but seeing it, that took a lot of time
Right,
and a lot
absolutely
of
right.
trial and error.
But that's peeling the layers off, right? It's
Exactly.
getting rid of all the crap that's covering up who you
Yeah.
really truly are. The other thing that you mentioned, I just want to touch quick, is control.
Yeah.
You said we can't control the results. And that's absolutely correct. We can't control anything outside of one thing. We want to, people try, but we can't control anything outside of ourselves. What I think and what I do are the only things I can control. I can influence outside of me, but I can't control it. Even things that we think of as, oh yeah, no, I control. Babies, they don't eat, they don't go anywhere without me moving them or feeding them or doing whatever. They can't do anything on their own. They're 100% dependent on me, right? Or on the parent or on whoever's looking after them, right? That means, okay, well, I have control of them. Yeah, well, no. So you get them all ready to go. You're going to the mall or whatever. You spend all the time getting them ready. You give them a bath. You wash them. You clothe them. You put everything, all the crap they need. You put it all in a bag, and all the stuff, and it takes you an hour and a half to get them all ready to go. And you get out to the car. You strap them into their child seat, and they take a poop so bad that it shoots out of the top of their shirt and gets in their hair and all over the seat. You realize I always talk about children and pets. If you have a children or a pet, you realize very quickly control outside of you is an illusion. You can influence, but you can't control it. And so then I look at people and go, so then how much time have you spent, time, money, energy, whatever, in the pursuit of mastery control of you? And most people go, I haven't spent, yeah, the one thing you can control, you haven't spent any time or energy trying to master control. That's a problem, right? As long as we think we can control stuff outside of ourselves, we're going to have a problem. That doesn't mean when I say choose to make it another great day. Can we make it what we want it to be? Yep, we can. But can we control the outcome of that? No. I can control my action, my thought, my emotion towards whatever the plan is that I put in motion. But the end result of that, right? Hockey, the guys can play as hard as they want. They can have a game plan on both sides. The superstars can do their thing. The rest of them can do their thing. The goalies can do their thing. But if at the end of the day, can either one of those teams dictate or control what the outcome of that game is going to be? No, they can't. Right? So understanding that control is an illusion is a key piece to that whole equation that you're talking about. I trust that makes sense, because if we want to control, if we desire control, then we need to learn to control. Life's going to happen, good, bad, or otherwise. It really is. It's going to happen in a good way, a bad way. It's going to happen somehow, right? It's going to happen somehow. Life is just going to happen. It's not about what happens. It's about how we respond to it. Not react, respond to it. Reaction is primal, right? react is emotional in the moment. There's a visceral, I have a visceral reaction to what the stimulus is. On our bedroom wall, it says stimulus pause in big letters, respond. So stimulus comes from all over the place, stuff people say or do or whatnot. I have 3 boys, teenage boys. They say and do ridiculous, crazy things all the time. That's a stimulus. If I can pause, that's where the power is. The power is in the ability to be able to hold on to it for a second and go, no, wait. Do I have all the information and can I take the emotion out of it? And whether that takes 2 or 3 seconds or it takes 3 weeks, when I respond, I'm now doing it with all the data that I need, and I'm doing it probably without any emotion or lower emotion, which is a response, not a reaction. Reaction is primal. If you step on a cat's tail, does it have the capacity to go, is Vincent, his intention, is it to be mean to me and to hurt me somehow, or does it have that capacity? No, it does not. So what happens? It squeals and jumps and looks at you and hisses and whatever, right? And it gets all upset. That's the reaction primal in the moment. As humans, we do exactly the same thing. Again, that's ego. We don't understand who we are. So stimulus comes from wherever it's going to come from. And we're trying to protect ourselves or defend ourselves. And we say things and do things as a reaction to stuff that we can't take back. And we hurt people and blow up relationships and cause other problems for ourselves. Why? Because we didn't hold on for a second. We didn't exercise our ability, and we're the only living thing ability to do that, and have given the ability to do that, is to pause for a second. Evaluate, take the emotion out of it. Do I have all the details of what's going on? Can I apply some logic to this? And then respond. Now it's a measured piece. It's not just this emotional screaming and yelling and whatever, right? But a lot of times we don't spend any time mastering control of us. They say 10,000 hours of doing any one thing will give you mastery of that, right? When I got my chef's papers, I needed 10,000 hours in a kitchen, right? They want you to, it's like dating, right? That mastery control of your dating. If you spend 10,000 hours with a lady, will you know her very well? You've seen her in lots of different situations. You've seen her agitated and happy and sad and mad. And you've seen her in social situations, multitudes of social situations. You've seen her one-on-one over and over and over. You have a really good idea who she is. Is it mastery? No. I can tell you after 33 years of being married, you never really have mastery of that, but of the relationship, yes, for sure. Right? Do I know how she's going to respond most of the time? Yep. Right? I pay attention. Right? Do I know what the outcome is going to be all the time? No, I don't. But I know her. And so, but that came from, let's come from 30, I guess 34, 35 years together. It's not 10,000 hours. It's probably hundreds of thousands of hours. I have no idea how many hours that is, but it's a lot together, right? So, my challenge is always, great, you can't control the outcome, but do you spend any time or money or energy mastering control of the one thing that you can? And they're like, what is that? That's you. Well, I don't spend any time. Yeah, that's a problem. Ding, 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 ding. And then I want to point at everybody else. No, that didn't work because of them, or that didn't work because of them, or, it's, if I know who I am, you said I'm afraid of people are afraid of rejection, right? If they know who they are, there's no fear of the rejection. To flip over what you had said, because you said, well, if she rejects me, you've changed that and go, okay, well, then that's not who I'm supposed to be with. But you make that determination after she rejects you.
True.
If I go into that exchange knowing or thinking, hey, she may say yes, that would be awesome. If she says no, then we're not supposed to be together. And that's okay. Ahead of the conversation. Then when she says no, okay, that's one of the two things I expected to happen. It was either a yes or a no. I got the no. Okay, that. Then there's no feeling of rejection because they're not saying no to you. A lot of times we take it personally and go, well, they're saying no to me as a human. And that's not usually the case. They don't know you well enough in a 15-minute conversation or an hour and a half together. They don't know you well enough to know what they're saying yes or no to. So what they're saying no to is about them. It's not a rejection of you. They're telling you who they are. They're showing you who they are. They're not rejecting you. And if you look at it that way, that, hey, you know what? They just, at some point in the relationship, if I force it and make it work, at some point, this is going to burn me in the butt. Why? Because I forced it. I tried to make it happen. Right? And instead of letting it sort of take its, I'm going to do in terms of making it happen, I'm going to do all the right things. But at the end of the day, if that doesn't come together that way, I already anticipated, well, there's two options she can say to me, yes or no, before I even have the conversation. Right? Now, all of a sudden, it takes the fear out of it, right? Same as the horror film I was telling you about. I love horror films, but they scare the crap out of me. Like, badly scare me, right? So when DVDs came out and they would have these behind the scenes, how they created, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So what I did was rent the movie or get the movie, watch how they make it first. Because then when the movie happened, I'm like, oh, that's so wicked. That looks so real, but I know exactly how it wasn't scary. I took the fear out of it because I knew how they made that. Right? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't scary. If I can control me in the sense of, I understand if I'm going to go out with this lady, yep, perfect. She can say one of two things in terms of relationship. Yes or no. Yes would be wonderful because she's beautiful and I would think we would make beautiful babies and it would be awesome. Right? But if she says no, she wasn't the one for me anyway. So it's okay. I'm all right with it. And then you go on the date. And if she says yes, congratulations, you got a hot chick on your arm. If she says no, no problem. You don't take it as rejection. She just answered one of your questions. Right? There's no downside to that. She just saved you spending 6 months buying her flowers and chocolates and dinner and all this, right? Spending 6 months learning that she's not the right one. She just saved you that. Right? And she says no, I would be like, thank you so much for saving me the whatever amount of time to find out that you're not the right one. Thank you. I appreciate that. Then you leave you're not even bummed out because you're looking at it from she gifted me the ability to be able to move on before I'm wildly emotionally invested in this relationship and then it's really going to hurt. Right? Anyway.
Yeah, Gordon, that's I never saw that way. I was always focused on what she's gonna say and how she's gonna react, but in the end there's only two answers, yes or no, or maybe three. She can also say maybe, but usually if you focus on, or say when you see a lady that you're attracted to and say, okay, she can say yes or no, it doesn't really matter because that's also the magic about it. You don't know what's gonna happen. And
right.
What I always realized a couple of years ago was what hurted me the most was not knowing what could have happened. Mm-hmm. So I was so afraid of the rejection. But what if she said yes?
Right.
And now I never knew what could have happened. And it was more painful than the rejection that she could give me. And that just blew me away, just understanding that, because then everything changed for me if you think like that. And like you said, fear is just usually made up, or we believe something has happened that usually doesn't happen, because if you face your fears and you do it a couple of times, like, oh, it's not so bad.
Mhm.
Same with me with the podcast. Once I start, it's like, oh, it's not so bad. I have to improve my podcast and learn and grow. But then I discovered it's not so bad. So it's with everything that you do. If you take those small steps, those small action steps, you create you create really the confidence
Mhm.
to do it, because you start to believe in your abilities, in your skill set that you're gonna develop. So yeah, Gordon, thank you so much for bringing this awareness. This is really really powerful. I really really appreciate. But what I really want to do, I want to slowly moving towards the end, because like Gordon, I can talk to you for this about hours and hours, or you can make like this 6 hours. But I also respect your time, and it's also getting late here. But what I want to touch on that's really important, because we're on the same page here, is the heart. How important is it for people, well, for in our case, for men, to start living from the heart, start owning that power, start listening to your heart, what is telling you, your gut feeling, listen to those intuition, and really move forward in that. So how did it start for you? Because I had this question in the beginning. What did happen for you that you wanted to help men from the heart, really to listen to the heart and really operate from the heart? What was it that it started for you, and what can you give to men that they can start, take those small steps in living from the heart?
Mhm. It's being able to, I think sometimes sorry, let me back up. Men are allowed two emotions. I'm fine and angry are the two emotions we're allowed. Neither one of them comes from a heart. The challenge is all the other emotions we still have, right? So we have fine and angry. All these other emotions we still have, that a lot of them come from heart. They come from sympathy and empathy and all that, right? That's coming from heart. But we label all of those other emotions with something. Weak. So society, and it's been like that for a long time. A lot of times, if you're using your heart, we think of it as weak. Men will go, I'm being weak because I have sympathy or empathy, or I feel bad for them, or I have there's something inside me says that I care about that person, and he's a guy, so I can't possibly love him because I don't, right, because we don't understand how any of that works. Once we get to a point where we can take that label off of those emotions, it's not weakness, it's strength, being able to have all of them, right? When people say, hey, are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure? Because you don't seem to, and all of a sudden I'm into the anger side. Of course I'm fine. I said I was fine. Did I not tell you I was fine? I'm fine. Of course I'm fine. The thing is, what somebody's picking up on, and to your point about intuition, what they're picking up on is that other emotion that's coming from the centerpiece where everybody can see it, but I think I'm covering it up. It's blatantly obvious to everybody around me, but I think I'm covering it up. Once I get to a point where I understand, and again, all this stuff just keeps coming back to identity, worth, and value. It really does. Because if I understand who I'm being, I think everybody's, and I'm a spiritual human. So when Jesus was here, they tried to trick him and said, hey, what's the most important commandment? And he said, love Papa and then love each other the way you love yourself. And then he put the mic down. So what does that mean? Well, you love Papa, and then you have to do self-care. Love others the way you love yourself. You have to love others. But then you put the mic down. Everybody's trying to find their purpose. What's my purpose? Why am I here? Jesus told us, you're here to love each other. Full stop. I'm here. That requires my heart, to your point. We're all here to love on each other. Now, you're a different human than me. So how that shows up experientially for you and how you love on the world is going to look completely different than the way I do it, even though we both have similar avatars. The way you do it is going to be different than the way I do it. But if you boil it all down, if we focus on loving on each other, would we have a completely different world than we do now? If we lead with love, because that's the only thing we were told to do, lead with love. Love each other, that's all. Love yourself, love Papa, but love yourself, and then love on each other. But we don't look after ourselves, so there's no self-love, there's no self-care. And then we wonder why we struggle to love anybody else or to lead with our heart. We can't lead with our heart. We don't have our own shit together. We're beat ourselves down over and over and over and over and over. We think we're not enough. How am I going to be enough for somebody else? How am I going to lead or even be able to put out some positive heart stuff if I think I'm not enough? Why would I do that? I'm not going to flick myself on somebody else when I don't think I'm enough. If I'm not enough for me, how the hell am I enough for them? How can I give them anything? I'm not enough for me. But that, again, the awareness around leading with love. Leading with love. Set the judgment to one side for a second. And you know what? These are muscles that we're not used to using. So everything is going to seem weird. It's all going to seem uncomfortable. People like client I had one last night tell me, "Oh, this is way outside my comfort zone." Yep. Why? Because that's not how you lived for the rest of your life. Of course it's going to be outside your comfort zone. That doesn't mean it's wrong. Right? How do I get better at it? How do I get better at leading from my heart, leading from love? How do I get better at that? I do it more. I do it as often as I can. Right? If you do me a favor, cross your arms. Now look down, see which one's on top. Okay. Now uncross your arms. Do you have any change in your pocket?
No.
It's funny. I've been asking that question for like 30 years all over North America. I said, do you have any change? Salespeople all over, no change. What? Why do you not have any change? We all debit everything now, right? But anyway, so I want you to cross your arms again, but I want you to do it the other way. Put the other arm on top. Did you have to think about that to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it feel weird?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you make that feel just the same way, no matter which way you do it? How do you make that feel comfortable both ways?
By doing it and not thinking about it.
Ding, 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 ding. Right? So same thing with leading with love. How do you do that? It's going to feel uncomfortable the first time, the 10th time, the 100th time, the 1,000th time, maybe. Right? But eventually you keep doing it. Eventually you go, okay, you know what? I've built that muscle up where I can set judgment to one side when I see people and lead with love first. But that takes practice and it's conscious at the beginning. It's a choice. Hey, I'm choosing to do that. I'm choosing to lead with love instead of the judgment I might normally. But I have to look at that it's not a weakness. Leading from my heart is not weak. It's a strength because I'm connecting to another human being. I'm allowing Papa to flow from me to them, and they already have Papa in them. So it's meeting and go, okay, hey, the Papa that's in me is connecting to the Papa that's in you. Because sometimes it's not my love. Lots of the time it's not my love. Doesn't have to be mine. It's Papa's. He's the one that loves that other person as much as he loves me, regardless of what I think. I need to take myself out of that equation. I'm just a conduit of love to that person. Instead of going, oh man, they suck because they're this or they're that, or I don't like this or that. It doesn't matter. The costume doesn't matter, right? What they're doing doesn't necessarily matter in terms of loving them. It may have consequences in terms of other things, but in terms of your emotion towards them, won't change it one iota.
Yeah, that's I never saw that way. How we always need to think before we act, but sometimes it's also good to act before we think. Not always, but it's good because we're always stuck in the head, and that's what I really want to accomplish with this podcast is that men start to operate from the heart and not always like, oh, what if I'm want to be this man? What if people gonna think about me? No, you feel it in your heart, so do it. You
Right,
feel it for a reason.
right. You see people
And
go, oh, guys will go, oh, it's weak to cry.
yeah,
And I'm like, on 9/11, I remember a lot of really tough guys, a puddle of tears on the ground. It doesn't mean they weren't still tough. They're human, right? They're human. Plug into that. Plug into that connection. Why were they crying? The loss of life is what they weren't crying because the buildings came down. Oh man, look at the mess we got to clean up. That wasn't part of the equation. They weren't crying or upset because of the loss of the buildings or the property or the cost of any of it. That's not why they were crying. Why were they crying? The humanity of it. That's the spiritual connection we all have. That a lot of times we want to, especially guys, we want to put our armor on, right? I can't let that in. I don't want to let that in. The problem is if I don't let that in, or pardon me, if I don't let that in, I can't let it out. I got armor, right? You hear people all the time go, oh, they're alpha. I keep looking at them and going, you know what? Alpha just means it's more armor you wear, so people don't realize what a marshmallow you are. And they laughed. The one guy I remember laughed. He goes, that's why I close the drapes when my grandbabies come over, because my marshmallow spills all over the floor, right? But I thought about it after. He wouldn't have said that or shared that with just anybody. I know he was probably trying to be funny, but in the moment, he shared something that he was vulnerable and transparent with someone he'd only talked to for 15 or 20 minutes because he felt safe and not judged, even that fast, right? When we put all this armor on, does it protect us? Yep. It also stops us from receiving anything from anywhere else. And then we stand there and go, nobody loves me. No one showed me any kind of affection. You've got all this armor on, silly putty. Take the armor off so they can get to you. Stop trying. Is it going to, am I risking getting burnt? Yep, I am. Yep, I am. But you know what? They say, I forget how that exactly goes, and I forget who said it, but, better to love at all than never be loved. Better to love and lose than never love at all. That's what they're saying. They're saying, you know what? Is it going to hurt? Maybe. But you know what? At the end of the day, I want to have those experience. That's experience, like you were talking earlier. That's an experience. I can learn from it. I can grow from it. And at the end of the day, I can't control the outcome anyway. So now it's just, hey, how do I respond, not react? How do I respond? Because that's what I can control to whatever the situation is. How do I control me to respond the way I need to in the situation? How do I need to equip myself to be able to respond properly? How do I act this out so that I'm doing and achieving the outcome I would like to see, at least on my side? I can't control the other person. I can't control all the other situations, but I can control what I do towards it. And if I've done everything I can towards it and it still doesn't work the way it was supposed to, then that's what was supposed to happen that way. And it's not it is what it is. That's sort of that's when you hear me say to people, and I would say to you as we were ending, choose to make it another great day. Instead of saying, have a nice day. People, we all say, hey, have a nice day. That's a what? Make the best of whatever happens? You have no control of it, but make the best of whatever happens. Well, that's not empowerment. I've always said, for a long time, I've said, make it another great day. And then earlier this year, I realized, you know what? Even that's a choice. I got to choose to do that. I have to choose to make it, or I just let it happen. Most people just let it happen. I'm like, no, wait. I can make stuff happen. I can lay out the plan and execute the plan, but I have to choose to do that. I have to choose to be vulnerable and transparent and lead with my heart. or not. But then I have to take 100% ownership of whatever the consequences of that are. So if my wife or my kids look at me and go, "You're so cold and aloof," and I've chosen not to be warm and no effect, I'm not going to hug you, and I'm not going to tell you I love you, because that's not macho. Okay, well, do you take the consequences of it on both sides, positive and negative? If we can plug into our heart and lead with our heart, there's good consequences that come with that. Great consequences that come with that. But I have to choose to do that. We have the choice. We have the ability to choose. Whether we do or not is a completely different thing.
That's really powerful, Gordon. The truth is, I wanted to ask you for 3 to 5 tips, but I'm not gonna do it because you gave so much value, and if I gave you the question, you gave so much value, and you've been really spot on. And I think for a lot of people when they hear this, like, what is he talking about? But I would feel the same way in the beginning. But once you're in this journey and really learning to love from the heart, I totally understand now where you're coming from. And I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this amazing, amazing conversation. You brought me so much value. I get a bit emotional because it's been such a tough journey, especially for being a man, and to deal with so much emotion and insecurities and not feeling okay, and not saying to yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, and struggle every single day. When you just say, okay, it's enough. I am good as I am. I'm enough as who I am. And I don't have to change for people. I don't have to change myself to be validated or to be good for other people. Because in the end, people are only busy with their own lives. And if you're trying so hard to impress people, usually they don't see it or they don't care. And once you stop and really take care of yourself, like you mentioned, self care and self love, then you're gonna go through life with a smile. And that really changed my life. Really laugh about your mistakes, laugh about the tough moments,
True.
have a smile. And really, Gordon, thank you so much for this, and really bring this power that most men don't see themselves. And I see it now how powerful I am by doing this, by showing up for myself to take care of myself. And even though it's not, we haven't talked for like a year or 6 months, I'm always excited to talk to you, and I'm so grateful for you being here and the value. So Gordon, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And before we're gonna close it off, I have two more questions, and the first one is, what is the most difficult situation that you had to go through your life, and what is the most beautiful thing that you had to experience in your life?
Good question. Truthfully, it's probably the same thing. The answer to both of those questions is probably the same thing. The suicide attempt was hard. It really was. But I'm even beyond the actual experience of it. Learning to be transparent and vulnerable about it, I think, was the hardest thing, because to the point of the whole conversation we had, I felt I was going to be judged and people were going to look at me different. And so that's why it took so long even to talk about it, because I was afraid of what that was. But what I found was, once I outed myself, so to speak, right? Once I shared it, the people that know me really well were like, "We're so sorry you went through that, but that doesn't surprise us based on who we know you are." But then there was this massive outpouring of love and affection and care, right? And so that's what I mean. I think the hardest part was going through it, but Yeah, the hardest part would have been going through that. The actual telling people about it, not the actual experience itself. But that was also the most beautiful part because I got a completely different reaction and response than I expected. And so again, we talk about being afraid of doing all the things we want are on the other side of that fear. And it prevents us from having and being all the things we want to be and all the things that um, people need to hear. Even if I'm saying exactly the same thing as you and you're saying exactly the same thing as somebody else, they need to hear whatever the words are from you, from your mouth with your perspective, or from my mouth with my perspective. It may be the same thing that Tony Robbins talks about, or John Maxwell talks about, or Jim Rohn talked about, or what. That's not the point. The point is everybody won't listen to all of those, any of those people. Same way they don't listen to, everybody doesn't listen to you or me. But we find the voice that we resonate with and we pick up that message. So no matter where it's coming from. So, was it hard to out myself the first time? Yep, it was. But there was some healing that came with that. And the next time I did it, there was some more healing that came with that. And the more I do it, and the more I do it, and the more I do it, the more healing that comes with that. And it's, I think, again, to the point of it's happening for us, not to us. It's also happening for us to equip us. Quick story about the guy that put that on my wrist. He raises money for suicide prevention by doing semicolon tattoos. But he said to me, that's the biggest one he's ever done. I think that's interesting. It means people want to acknowledge it's happened, but they don't want anybody to know. So there are a bunch of really tiny little itty bitty semicolons. And he said to me, recently I reached out to him for some more body art, and he said to me, is your tattoo working the way you'd hoped? And I said, I can tell you this. I was in Starbucks a while back, and I went to pay for my drink with my debit card, and the little young lady behind the counter held up the machine. And my sleeve must have come up just enough she could see my tattoo. She didn't say anything, but her eyes filled up with tears instantly. And she pulled her ear forward, and she had a little tattoo of a semicolon behind her ear. And it instantly connected us deep, 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 deep in our heart, right? She didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to say anything, but I had a little bit of a glimpse into her journey. She had a little bit of a glimpse into mine. And there was an instant bond that happened without having to say anything. Instantly, there was a recognition of no judgment, safe, understanding in a blink of an eye. And so that's why I say Papa gifted me that experience to be able to get my mission done, because people that connect with me now, when I shake hands with people, that's why it's there. He said, why do you want it on your right wrist? I said, because when I shake hands with people, if they know what a semicolon is, they instantly know it's a safe zone, no judgment. And that happens all the time. And so that energy goes out that way, right? I get lots of people that reach out that with stories of whether they've tried, family members, friends, whatever, succeeded or tried. Lots of people reach out with stories that way. And I think I've become a lightning rod for some of that energy, because where do I go to get somebody that actually gives a shit about me and loves me without being weird, right? And will equip me and help me through, be kind enough to me not to leave me where I am, and will work with me. I get over and over and over and over and over. We go deep into these type of topics with my flagship programs. Deep into identity, deep into worth and value, deep into, how do I equip myself with tools? I teach 7 levels of emotional intelligence for men. It's not even the name of the program. BIZO is Box Inside Out is the name of my tactical edge for guys, and HER for women. I do it once a year. I promised a mentor I would do a one woman's a year. So I'm in the process of that at the moment, but even the box inside out, it's not outside the box thinking. It's not think outside, it's burn the box, eradicate the box. There's no box. Let's just learn tools and strategies to be able to deal with our life in a positive way, so I don't have to either put my emotion in a box and put it on a shelf, or push it down inside myself and hold that dis-ease in my bodies and make myself sick. How do I deal with it so that I can acknowledge that emotion is there, it's there for a reason, and acknowledge it, and then understand why it's there, and then have a frozen moment and let it go. I'm not carrying it around. I don't need to carry it around. There's no point in carrying it around. It's just going to hurt me. So, and if I bury it, it's to your point and our points earlier, it's going to come back later because I pushed it down. It's going to come out, and probably not at a convenient time. So learning ways to be able to deal with those emotions, understand our own emotion, where it's coming from, why it's there, how do I deal with that, right? When I see it in other people, it's exactly the same. If I understand it with me, I can understand when I instantly, you see it in other people, you go, oh, look. I know that one because I had to deal with that. I know exactly what he's doing, right? That makes you a better human being, to be a better buddy, a better friend, a better father. I've got 3 sons. So, if I got one way to handle my emotion, if that doesn't work for them, they're screwed. I need dozens, and I have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of ways to deal with emotion, to deal with our lives. And I want it because I need it. What worked this time might not work next time. And my sons, what worked for me might not work for them. I need some other ways to try this. Hey, try this. Hey, try this. But I'm trying to give that type of a message and that kind of a education to as many guys that'll plug into it, because once they do, their whole life gets better. And again, all these things, they all plug in, right? The identity and the worth and value leading from our heart, that all plugs together. And when all those things get in alignment, our lives literally explode in the most amazing ways. Stuff happens all over the place that you go, where did that come from? Because I wouldn't have identified that with this, right? But it comes up all over the place. And so to learn those tools, to have those tools is it's an honor to teach them. But my and I'll shut up. The one of our guys in the cohort I have happening right now, guys, they said to me, they asked me at the end of the meeting the other night, they're like, why do you do what you're doing? You enjoy inspiring people. And I do. For sure I do. But I said to them, absolutely I do. But that's not why I do what I'm doing. And they're like, why do you do what you do? I'm like, because you inspire me. Watching you take your life and take the stuff I've given you, whether it's an idea or a thought or a process or whatever, and you implement it in your life, and your life explodes and your life gets better and your marriage gets better and you become a better dad or employer or employee, or you're a better human being, that touches my soul. That's way more valuable than any money you could ever give me. It inspires me. Watching you guys get better inspires me. Watching people I come into, the first time you and I met, you were still shy. The very first time through CLA, you were very shy, like very shy. But the next, as we've continued talking, as I watched you do your podcast, you're not shy, right? You've sort of blossomed out of that space, and you've stepped into some of that empowerment. You're a different human than you were when I met you 2-3 years ago, right? And that inspires me. I'm like, look at him go. Look at what he's doing with himself. It's awesome. Look how he's inspiring other people. It's awesome. But that gets me all wound up and excited, and that feeds my soul. That feeds my soul. That's why I do what I'm doing. And so, from a, is it a beautiful thing? Is it a hard thing? Yep, it's all experience. It's all experience. If we can open our brain to the fact that, you know what, I want to experience as much as I can, that doesn't hurt anybody else, for as long as I can, and inspire other people, I'm in. Perfect. I don't need anything beyond that.
Gordon, thank you so much for this amazing interview. I cannot thank you enough. Just for me, sit with you. I know it's gonna be amazing, but sit really actually with you and listen to you and consume this value and really see the power that was always inside of me, but not really realizing it because I had to see it. I had to go through stuff. And it's what I've seen with myself is everything happens for a reason, but also takes time. So not everything will happen at the right time for the reason.
Right.
So sometimes I need to go through things to learn for me to go to the next step. And sometimes I was really angry and frustrated because why is this not happening so fast? I want to move forward. I want to do this. I want to do that. But then I realized I have to heal myself first because if I'm not doing that, I will get bumped again. I will push back at the same place that I was before. And then once I solved it, I can move forward again. But then I will bump into another one because I figured out there's another trauma that comes up or something else that I have to heal.
Mhm.
And it's a journey. It's also with yourself. You're still learning, you're still growing, you're still educating yourself. You never stop learning because you see the power of self development, the power of becoming the best version of yourself that you can be. And I'm really grateful again, Gordon. I'm so grateful for Chris Belfray for introducing me to you and having this conversation. And the last thing that I really want to say is for the men that listening to this is learn also to talk about your emotions because if you keep holding it to yourself, it will grow and it will become anger. It will become frustration and you will feel a hatred towards people and the people that you love and the world. But once you start talking about what's going on in your life, not with everybody, but to the people that you really trust and feel comfortable with, it will take the stress out of you. You will feel relieved and you say like, okay, now I can talk about this freely and I don't have to deal with this anymore. And that's what I've seen with my own journey when I talk about my problems, when I talked about my addictions. I say mine, but it's not really mine. It's something that happened to me. But once I started to learn to talk about it, I felt like you said, I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel like, oh, somebody is gonna laugh at me because I'm going through this. Because I realized usually the same people or men going through the same thing as I do.
Mhm.
And the things that I'm learning and experiencing, I can help other men to face it too. Because I've seen so many men feeling alone that they think they need to figure this all by themselves. But I've been through it and I've found ways or tools to overcome it and to say, okay, this is how I do it. You can try this. And I'm not saying this will work for you, but I can say just try it out and see how it happens. And then you have something to hold on. But for me, what the most important is talk. Don't hold it in. Not also for the women, don't hold it in because you're gonna kill your heart.
Right.
And you want your heart, your beating heart is beating for you every single day. So don't punish yourself. Don't say you're not worthy enough because your heart is beating for you every single day.
True.
And after I talked, Gordon, you made me a bigger heart. So thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful for again for you. So before we cut it off, before we end the show, I want to really again thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're the biggest, amazing hearted, but also the biggest beard that I've seen, but also with the biggest heart that I know. Ever since I know you, always look out to me. You also like, hey Vincent, how are you? You always cared about me, my journey. You're always here to support me, and I'm always grateful for you being here for me. And as our life continue, I will always be grateful for you. And yeah, again, thank you so much. So, is there something you want to add? You want to add or you want to say before we're gonna close it off?
I just, you know what? I really, really appreciate the opportunity. I've been looking forward to this we've been trying to do this for a long time. And between technology and health and whatever on all the different sides, it's been, but I believe things happen when they're supposed to happen. So we weren't supposed to talk before today. Because if we'd have talked way back when we started, if the first one had worked, it would have been a completely different conversation than the one we've had today for both sides, right? So,
Yeah.
really thank you for the opportunity to connect, and thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for what you're doing. And I would admonish you, keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. You're making an amazing dent in the universe, and helping guys all over the place, whether you see it or know about it or not, and that you are. So, as my spiritual brother, thank you so much. And I love you. Big hugs. And if I can help you in any way, please let me know. And if anybody wants to go deeper on identity or their worth and value, or want more beyond what we've talked about today, reach out. I can more than willing to help.
Absolutely. And guys, after listening to this episode, or if you feel the need or you feel the call to contact Gordon, he's the right guy for you, because I've been talking for him for a couple of times. He always inspired me. He always gave me value. He always gave me tips and tools for me to try to use. But what he always left for me is how amazing I am, how powerful I am, and the heart that I need to follow it. And there's not many men that tells me like, hey Vincent, follow your heart. Hey Vincent, you're amazing. Hey Vincent, you have my support. And I value that the most about you. So Gordon, same for you. You're amazing. I love you as a spiritual brother, and it's always amazing to have you, or to sit and have this talk with you. So again, so thank you so much, Gordon. So how can the listeners follow you, and if they want to work with you, how can they reach out to you?
I'm in the process of rebranding for the Vault, but if you put the long bearded guy into any social media platform, you'll find me. If you put that into my shows, called that the long bearded guy on YouTube, you should put that in. You'll find me. You can watch. There's more than 100 episodes there. You'll get some good ideas and some good feel of where I'm at. But beyond that, you can email me at thevaultconfidential@gmail.com. Is the email I'm using for stuff like that at the moment. That's thevaultconfidential@gmail.com. And it's completely private. It's completely confidential. It's not. Sometimes people don't want to out themselves yet, right? They don't want anybody to know they're asking somebody for help. This is a good place to do it. It's amnesty, if you understand that concept. It's amnesty in a lot of different ways. So that's the easiest ways to get a hold of me. Most of the social media platforms, if you get on any single one of them and put in the long bearded guy, you'll find me. But yeah, the Vault is coming more and more and more and more, and it seems to be really resonating with people. So
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You too, Gordon. Again, you inspired me to really to wake up with a smile and really enjoy life as best as I can, and face my fears, challenge myself, help as much people as I can with this podcast. My purpose is even greater now because I've talked with you. So yeah, you always seem to inspire people, whatever you do, whatever you say. And I'm again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, Gordon. Thank you for your time. We're sitting here for 3 hours. It was the best 3 hours of talking to you, and hopefully again in the future we can sit again and
Great.
see how our conversation and how we've grown as human beings, how we evolved, and see where our lives have been led to. So Gordon, thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Choose to make it another great day.
Exactly. You have the choice. You have the power inside of you, but it's up to you to make that decision and
Exactly.
take action. Gordon, thank you. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being with us today. I know it's a long sit, but again, Gordon is absolutely amazing. He gave so much value, and he has so much value, so much experiences. And I'm so grateful for him. And also, if you haven't, like and subscribe to my channels. You can follow me also on Facebook, on all my social medias. I also post on my life, my experiences, the things that I learned, the things that I'm passionate about, just to inspire you and take a better step into your life and live the life from the heart and that's the best way to live, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So, guys, thank you so much. Gordon, thank you, and take care. Bye.
Hey Lions, thank you for listening. Glad to have you on our journey to the authentic self. Want to learn more to embrace your potential? I invite you to keep listening. Do me a favor and smash the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps the show reach more listeners who need to hear these messages. See you next time.